You are not audible, ma'am.
ये मेरा आप रखो.
पोडियम से आवाज
Can I request everyone to please settle down? Our first speaker is online. We have already connected with Dr. Abhay Karandikar. So can I request all of you to please settle down and phones on silent? You can go.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening to everyone. I am Bithal, and I'll be your host today with alongside Samiksha. We are both students of Dsse School of Entrepreneurship, and which is why we are grateful and happy to welcome you all to the DSSC Entrepreneurship Day. Before we proceed, I would request everyone to please settle down. People who are entering, I'll ask you to settle down. And one humble request to please keep your phones on silent.
Today's symposium brings together thought leaders on innovation and entrepreneurship from the domain of government, academia, and industry. Today's program includes panel discussions on some pressing topics, keynote addresses by our distinguished guests and speakers, and felicitations to those who contributed in our journey. So without further ado, let's get started. Our first speaker for today is our very own Dr. Abhay Karandikar, Secretary to the Government of India Department of Science and Technology. He is speaking on the topic Role of Entrepreneurship in Nation Building. We are extremely grateful for him to pull out time from his meeting to speak to us online. So ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Abhay Karandikar.
Um, Thank you very much. First of all, a warm greeting to all of you. Good mornings, all the distinguished guests, all the innovators, faculty members, Professor Subhashish Chaudhary, Director IT Bombay, and all the future leaders. It is indeed my great privilege to address all of you at this Dsse School of Entrepreneurship Day on this, which is a platform that truly symbolizes the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. As one of the family members of IIT Bombay, I'm indeed delighted to see the significant scientific and technological advancement and contributions that the institute is making. IIT Bombay has not only nurtured some of the best minds, but also served for a very long time as a fertile ground for many groundbreaking research and innovations. In the present era, innovation and entrepreneurship are powerful engines driving our country's economic growth. And by fostering a culture of innovations, we have basically transforming these ideas into products, technologies, and services that can be deployed, thus fueling the nation's economic engine. The startup ecosystem in the country has been a significant contributor to job creation. And as all of you know that it started, mostly in the early days in information technology and ICT areas, but more recently, innovations in manufacturing, agriculture, bio, medical technologies, health sciences, and communications, computing are generating diverse employment opportunity and contributing in reducing the unemployment and also underemployment in the country. Uh, India's vibrant innovation ecosystem is actually now becoming a magnet for global investors, and our startups have attracted substantial foreign investment in the recent years, bringing in not just the capital but also the global best practices from around the world. And innovations made in India are now not only increasingly serve our domestic market, but also in many of our startups are now actually also creating a market for themselves at an international scale. And this export-led growth is also a testament to the global competitiveness which our Indian innovators have a potential to reach. As you know that the Department of Science and Technology has been really a key player in supporting the innovation and incubation ecosystem in the country. In fact, the DST had supported one of the first incubators in the country in the form of Sign in IIT Bombay, and also later on in other institutions, including then IIT Kanpur, IIT Madras, and IIT Delhi. In 2016, when the Honorable Prime Minister has announced the mission of Startup India and Stand Up India, the DST through its program of Nidhi, which was called as National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovation, we started contributing to the innovation and entrepreneurship in the country. And over the years, we have developed a network of almost 175 DST supported incubators, which have facilitated a diverse and very impactful innovation ecosystem, supporting more than 12,000 startups, out of which 2,000 have been women-led, and which has actually also helped creating 2,000 plus intellectual property rights and patents. The startups supported by DST have achieved a combined valuation of more than 35,000 crores and have raised close to 25,000 crores in investor fundings in the recent years. We have set a benchmark with many of the startups, and as you know that one of them has been like Idea Forge, deep tech startups, which came out of IIT Bombay. And the DSP also was involved in providing the rapid action support during the COVID pandemic, in contributing to many of the startup innovations which contributed to tackling the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. In the DST, our mission in that sense aligns with the ethos of institutions such as IIT Bombay. And we believe that with all our institution incubators, we have a capacity to propel India to new heights in science and technology. Entrepreneurship also serves as a leveling field, and by supporting startups from diverse background across various programs of DST, we are also actively working towards reducing the economic inequality in the country. Innovations in healthcare and education through e-learning platforms have also greatly improved the standards of living, especially in the remote and underserved areas of our country. Innovative solutions in finance, like in digital payments, in retail through e-commerce, have also made, as all of you know, significant impact. In Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are prioritizing self-reliance in some of the key sectors, particularly in the deep tech sectors. And from the DST side, we will be soon coming out with a program for supporting deep tech startups in the country. Department of Science and Technology has initiated several national missions. The national mission on cyber physical system has already been working in various areas of cyber physicals like Internet of Things, robotics, and so on. And these technology innovation hubs, which has been set up, are also catalyzing innovations in cutting edge technologies and have been supporting startups. Through our Inspire Manak program, also we are igniting the scientific curiosity and a spirit of innovations in millions of school children throughout the country, nurturing actually the next generation of innovators. Uh, as all of you know that the parliament had approved the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, and we will be operationalizing the National Research Foundation very soon, maybe in a month's time. And this upcoming NRF has a specific provision. In fact, 10% of the funds will be earmarked for supporting innovation and entrepreneurship activities. We believe that there is a potential to revolutionize India's research ecosystem, focusing on fostering quality and relevance in research to national priorities. A significant focus of the NRF will be to cultivate a robust network of collaborations between the universities, research institutions, and the industry. We expect that the NRF will not only enhance the quality of research in fundamental sciences, but also in translational research leading to innovations that benefit the society at large. In the NRF, as I mentioned, that since 10% of the funds will be dedicated for innovation and entrepreneurship activity, we will have a program for supporting the translational research centers also across the country. We also would like to support a system, and I think the Dsse School of Entrepreneurship can take a lead in terms of creating a network or a platform where faculty members, even if they are not interested in commercializing the research, can this platform can provide a mechanism for taking their research from lab to the market. A kind of experiment is currently, as you know, the National Science Foundation has a program called ICOPS, and this kind of experimentation is currently going on in Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center in IIT Madras, and I had an opportunity to discuss with Deshpande on this. That is an idea that the DST will definitely like to support and work with both IIT Bombay and IIT Madras. In general, I think the school, in terms of providing a robust curriculum, mentorship, and an environment that encourages the spirit of entrepreneurship, has an opportunity to contribute to the not only to the economic growth, but also the societal change, and thereby contribute in a big way to the nation building. Finally, I would like to extend my congratulations to all the stakeholders for DSSC on this an important day, and my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for your dedication to the spirit of innovations and entrepreneurship, and for your very valuable contributions in terms of making our country a global leader in science and technology. IIT Bombay's commitment to fostering an innovation-driven culture has set a benchmark for many other institutions across the country. Your efforts in promoting research and entrepreneurships will be really very important for realizing our vision of becoming a global leader in science, technology, and innovations. So once again, I would like to congratulate all of you. It is, I would have very much liked to attend this meeting in person, particularly when it is held at IIT Bombay. But unfortunately, I'm unable to come here and had to therefore agree to join you online. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, any suggestions, I'll be happy to take that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karandikar. We would be happy to take up questions if there are any.
Dr. Karandikar, this is Professor Anuradha Narasimhan. I head the Dsse School of Entrepreneurship. And thank you for the inspiring address. We would definitely, it's not really a question, we would definitely like to see how we can work with DST on the translational research thought that you gave, which is about creating a network or a platform for bringing the academics together. So any thoughts that you have on this? It's something that I wonder if we can do a course targeted only at the faculty members of technology institutes. I don't know if that's a good idea or not worth trying.
So, in that, first of all, let me just answer this. Translational research centers, I think we will be setting up and we will come out with a call for proposals separately. So, I think that we will do as a separate exercise. Regarding this platform, I will actually, so what you talked about of encouraging faculty members, I think this is this exercise is being done by GDC at IIT Madras, and I had an opportunity to interact with them. Probably we may be able to sort of create a program like that which can be supported at a national scale. So right now we are in discussions, but I think when the NRF is launched, through the NRF, I think we may be able to support a program which actually encourages faculty members and scientists to come to this platform, and which also helps convert their ideas, into marketable technologies and so on. So I think this is something I should say that we need to sort of work on this to see how that can be enabled.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karandikar, for the key thought of entrepreneurship being a leveler and helping reduce inequality in the country. The thought really resonated with all of us and has set a great context for the rest of the event. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Professor Subhashish Chaudhary, sir, Director at a prestigious institute, IIT Bombay. He has also been the Kamal Nayan Bajaj Chair Professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering. He has received some major awards that recognize his research excellence, which include the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize, the Technical University of Munich Research Ambassador Award, and the G.D. Birla Awards for the scientific research, among others. I request Professor Chaudhary to set the context for DSSE's 10th anniversary event and the role it plays in delivering IIT Bombay's vision and strategy. So, please.
Good evening. Time really passes by so quickly because I remember Mr. Khakkar was the director and I was the deputy director 10 years ago. I think one of these days we had this inauguration of Dsse School of Entrepreneurship. And suddenly I realized that 10 years over, okay, and I might have lost a lot more hair during this time. That's a sign of loss, but it's a great sign of gain for IIT Bombay as well as for the rest of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country. So I think today, on this special day, we are here to celebrate a journey that we embarked about 10 years ago, and we stop here, make a pause to see where we are, how to interact with other people, what is the pathway, what is the road ahead, how to leverage whatever is happening outside IIT Bombay. And I think with Professor Karandikar giving the talk on the national perspective, we'll also, so that's like the government perspective, and then we'll have also the industry perspective. We have many people there, they're distinguished entrepreneur. I think we'll have a packed evening here where we would be looking at the road ahead for Dsse School of Entrepreneurship at IIT Bombay. And for that, I welcome you to this August gathering here, celebrating our journey. I think we are here also very privileged to have Mr. Chintan Vaishnav here. Okay, he is the mission director of Auto Innovation. We also have, Professor Karandikar we already had. We have here none other than Professor Khakkar here. Under his term it all started. And of course, online we have one of the biggest supporter, okay? Mr. Bharat Dsse is our distinguished alumnus, and Mrs. Dsse. So we welcome you, and of course, this is also welcome for all our distinguished alumni, our students, faculty members, industry people, and guests. Okay. I think if we look at where we stand today, IIT, Mumbai as such is a happening city. Okay. A lot of things happen, and we don't have to ask for what happens. Something happens somewhere. And IIT Bombay, being IIT Bombay, a lot more things happen here. There's more things happen. And the fact that it happens because we want it to happen, and from the administration side, we want to make sure that we provide the opportunities, the platform, that such kind of thing should happen. Okay? But who makes it happen is finally the students or the entrepreneurs, and of course the faculty members, staff, because that's finally, it creates an ecosystem. So when we look at this journey and what it has achieved, we are in India with the first school of entrepreneurship. And we picked up at a time which is also in many of the Western countries, they were starting to do it. So in some sense, we have a little lead ahead of our competitors, okay? But it also puts a lot of onus on us in terms of providing the kind of support to this entrepreneurial ecosystem that the country needs. India, as Professor Karandikar said, is like a hotbed of entrepreneurial, I think, the attempts all over. There's so many of them. 100,000 of them happening. I think he gave some numbers. I think probably Mr. Vaishnav would have better numbers, so I'll not hazard the guess, because every time it's a different number, and add one more zero to the right, in some sense. But that's something we want, okay, because the country needs. If we have to, actually do this, make it in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and also I think the clarion call that the Honorable Prime Minister said, that leading us to the, the developed India in 2047, we need to do a lot more. So we have been doing things, but I think we have to do a lot more. And in that case, what all we can do, so we have had brainstorming sessions several times, and we realized that we should create some kind of entrepreneurial ecosystem at IIT Bombay, which would look at various different aspects. Okay. One is, of course, I think Professor Karandikar said about SIGN, which is our incubator, which is one of the oldest academic incubator in India. And it is doing really well in terms of how it started. And we recently had a brainstorming of how to make from SIGN 1.0 to SIGN 2.0, where you can do a lot of scaling up, okay, going, doing a lot more, I would say, activities, which is not necessarily, which will have a long gestation period. Of course, we had a lot of, I think, success to what we started. We have companies which have gone for IPO. There are many of them who have, I think, done wonderfully well and migrated into the next level that we have, and which is likely to be inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister in a short time, is the research park, which is happening. So you are just, before coming here, we were just taking stock of what is the preparation level. So it is something that is, beyond incubation, like when you have the existing companies or those who have graduated from the different incubators, irrespective of where they graduated from, to put them right inside our campus. So those of you who are like IIT Bombay, you know the geography of that. It is on the other side of the pipeline, okay? There is a 14-story building. It's nearly ready, okay, waiting to be inaugurated. And it is about 500,000 square feet of space, which would likely to be occupied by companies which are, some of them are global companies and some of them are the Indian companies. And we invite many of you to actually use that, because your 1 foot would be right in our campus to leverage whatever IIT Bombay provides in terms of technical manpower or the corresponding, your IP, whatever the support you need, we can work together. Then also we have another thing, we realize that a lot of research happens in various labs. We have 700 plus faculty members across different departments. And there have been, I think, our IP protection has gone up. We have more than 100 patents or maybe 150 patents being filed every year. And many of them are worth taking it to the next level. And when I say next level, it means that, because the student lives, sometimes the TRL level may not be at a way you wanted to really invest in terms as a company or as an individual in setting up the corresponding startup. So we have set up something called Translation Research Center that Professor Karandikar mentioned, I think, under that we would like to identify any kind of technology which gets developed in some of the labs and which require further prodding to see that the TRL level, so it's basically a TRL booster inside, so, excuse me, so that at the end of that, we would like to keep the student, whoever has developed by paying a little bit of industrial level salary, may not be at the same level, but reasonably well, not just a stipend. And at the end of it, either they can themselves start the company, or maybe it could be licensed, because by the time we expect the TRL level to go higher up. So that's like another vertical that we have actually created a special position, okay, called your head of your translation research and entrepreneurship. And we actually roped in a big fish, which is among us today, Professor of Practice, Professor Rajesh, I think he's here. Okay. And he was the former CEO of TCS, and he is helping us in terms of making sure how we plan. And so these are the 3 pods that I talked about, and this is the 4th pod, which is, makes the table very strong, is the Dsse School of Entrepreneurship. Is we want to also formally train our people, our faculty, our students, as well as people maybe from outside also, to see that you you get a proper training, because many times as professors we would like to do what we think we should do, but on the other hand the industry demands that what the people want, that's what it should be done, rather than what we want it to be done. So it is going to be a good hand-holding experience that we have in our campus, that Dsse School of Entrepreneurship. And I tell you that the courses they offer, they are like highly oversubscribed. I mean, we are not talking about IPO. I mean, these are talking about our students opting for actually these courses that Dsse School of Entrepreneurship that offers. And they also run various kinds of competitions, others and under that many of them go for, I would say, their own startup. I think they are the right people to give you the numbers, but I think it's a very, very healthy ecosystem. Add to that, that student population also want to do something, and for that there is something called Dsse. You might be seeing some banner coming up because this is on the weekend, okay, where they also bring in a large number of industry personnel, the entrepreneurs in the campus, so that our students body, they go into the corresponding, this kind of jumping into the, I would say, the entrepreneurial activity. We definitely encourage. So without taking any more time, I would say that because we are here for, listening to the experts, and I would say that this is the first decade, and whenever something happens, okay, so it's the way, the path. So we'll be looking at what should be our path for the next 10 years. We should have a vision for that, and we should work collectively. We need your help, those of you who have been doing entrepreneurship, those who have been into this business, okay, because we are professors in the, so we are not the right setup. So we need to be trained, and for that, we'll be very happy that if you come, we'll be very happy to have professor of practice from the industry. We'll be very happy to have people who would like to spend time here, or allow our faculty members go and sit in your company also for some time to learn, or in the students. So we'll be very happy to see that, create some kind of ecosystem that promotes entrepreneurship, that promotes translation from lab to actually industry. And when we do that, I think that would be the real impact that IIT Bombay makes to the common people of India. I think with that, I can only wish all the best to the Dsse School of Entrepreneurship for the next 10 years of journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Chaudhary. It was quite delightful to hear about the upcoming entrepreneur ecosystem in IIT Bombay, including Sign 2.0, the Transmission Research Centers. It was quite insightful. Moving on, I would like to invite Dr. Chintan Vaishnav to deliver the keynote address on evolving role of entrepreneurship education and academic incubators. Dr. Chintan Vaishnav is the mission director of the Atal Innovation Mission, AIM, a flagship initiative of the Government of India under the auspicious Niti Aayog. As a teacher, entrepreneur, and an innovator, he has split his time between teaching and research at MIT, while living and working with rural communities in India to build innovative solutions. The dais is yours, sir.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? Good, excellent. Let me see who's here. Who's a current student? Okay, all right. Because otherwise everybody is a student. So, okay, that's great. And then in the faculty. If I could just see, was okay. All right, faculty. All right, great. Yes, every faculty. Okay, and what about startups? Are there startups? Yeah. Okay, there's some startups, and I know some of you. And so okay, so this is a it's a subset of people I know here are very very knowledgeable, far more knowledgeable than I am. Many of you young people, I was very happy to meet the Institute Technical Council before coming here. So very energetic and enthusiastic. So what I'll do is I put together a presentation that's where I want to share some numbers given the topic that was given to me. These numbers actually some of these numbers I haven't showed to anybody at all. So you're seeing it for the first time. And it is, I hope it will be relevant. So with this idea of evolving role of entrepreneurship education and academic incubators, let me first say that this is my first serious interaction with the Dsse school, although I've spent time at IIT Bombay before, but not with this part of IIT Bombay. So really delighted to see what's going on. Really also see a big role for it, needless to say. Partly, I'll speak to the big picture because I think when I was young, I used to like somebody speaking about the big picture, so maybe some of you may want that. But I think we are 1/10 of the way in terms of this innovation and entrepreneurship. That's my sense. One way to think about why 1/10. India has 100,000 startups, right? 115,000, roughly, as of last week, right? And then 140 crore people. So that's one startup in 14,000 citizens. If you look at many of the sort of the advanced nations who have been at this building startup ecosystem journey for, say, 40 years plus, then they have roughly one startup in, say, Israel, 1,400 people, some other nations, 2,000 to 3,000 people. Let's take 1,400 as a benchmark. Then we're at 1,400, so we can go 10 times. You have to make an assumption that we have as much brains as anybody else, which I think we can make. So now, then the question is, how long will it take, right? So the ecosystem is doubling every 5 years because the startups are doubling every 5 years, right? So if we want to be more exuberant, then, if we want to say, look at that, then it will be about between 15 and 20 years, but people find that number too long and they want to be more exuberant about it. We'll say 10 times in 10 years, let's say. Okay, so that's what we need to do. Now, I think the role of such a school, which has already spent 10 years, is very, very important because, as Director Sir was saying, the idea of teaching the art of risk taking, if you would, demystifying the art of risk taking, I think is really important because a lot of people learn that way. A lot of people do science because it's demystified. You say, if you do science, this is how you do science, and if you do science, this is what you can do. Entrepreneurship is not that demystified. If you're from a business family, it's demystified. It's on your dinner table. At least one form of it is on your dinner table. But if you're not from a business family, then it's not demystified. If a place like this can demystify it for many, many people, then that's a wonderful thing to happen. I think the one last thought for a lot of the young people is that I think many of you who are in some form or the other in even ITC, the Technical Council is helping people take technical risks, for example. That's one way to think about it, right? And that's important because one of the institutional design issue that we have is that we have no institutions in our nation that promote risk taking, right? So families are risk averse, doctors, engineers, nothing wrong. They want good things for their children, right? Industry is risk averse. If you see a bottom line, top line, I will innovate. Governments super risk averse, will not procure from startup easily, for example. Academia, risk averse, struggling to, not only in India, struggling to reward action, right? Maybe it's not their role, or whatever it is. But so I think the innovation ecosystem is that platform, which is a platform for risk taking. So if the faster we can build it, the more of our young people can do something with it. So I think we have to go at it. Okay, so let me now show you some data. Okay, first is big picture data. Then I'll show you some data that I have from Atal Innovation Mission, because we're willing to put it out and others are nervous to put it out. So so here's, if you want to lower these lights, you'll see it better. I'll show you three sets of maps. In each set, there is a map on the left, which is a map of the absolute numbers in a state or a union territory. And on the map on the right is that same number per million people. Okay, so in this map, this is the startup map of India at 1,15,000, roughly 1,16,000 startups. And you see the heat map as to which state union territory has more or less, right? The right-hand side is the same number divided by million people in that state or union territory. There are three types of things you can learn from this map, right? First is, if you're dark on both sides, left and right, then you are relatively doing better. If you're dark on the left, but not dark on the right, then you have large number of startups, but not as much job creation, because an average job created per startup, as per startup in India, is 12 jobs per startup, right? This is also interestingly correlated with the fact that this is why you see, if you look at the right-hand side map, it is people from the lighter states that migrate to darker states for jobs, right? And then the third thing you can learn is, if you are light on the left, that is absolute numbers small, but darker on the right. For example, Haryana, it gets a little darker, Delhi. Then per capita job creation, your number is small, but job creation is good. Okay, that's startup map. Now let's look at the same map. Left-hand side is the same map. Right-hand side is what percentage of these startups have at least one woman founder. What you see is that the national average is 36%, so 36% of them have at least one woman founder. That's a good number, right? That's a good number. Obviously, 50% of population is women. So I'm not saying we have to have 50. I'm just saying that's the difference, right? Now, but by and large, you see that it's a very uniformly painted map on the right-hand side. That's a very interesting sign, right? Now, let's look at one more picture. Same nomenclature. Left-hand side. This is about 2 weeks ago. 1,029 incubators in our nation. About 450 are government-supported incubators. Okay. Absolute numbers, darker, more incubators, lighter, less incubators. Right-hand side is incubators per million people. This is a measure of access. How many platforms are there around you, right? Again, same lessons. If you're dark on both, you're relatively better. And if you're dark on the left, right on the right, then, and so on. So I think this is important, because when we hear these numbers in the newspapers also, you to worry that, okay, this state is doing a lot better as compared to itself. That's good. But still, the long way to go. So this is some big picture. Now let me show you one last map. This is the map of who leads innovation and entrepreneurship from the government side in a given state or union territory. You see multiple colors here, right? In 15 states, it is the industry department that leads. In 10 states, it's the Department of Information Technology that leads. 5 states MSME, 5 planning department, that's on the northeast. That's all sort of Niti Aayog's influence in some ways. Department of Skill Development and all, one state. Is this a problem? Well, why is it so colorful, first of all? It's so colorful because, innovation and entrepreneurship as activity began opportunistically wherever it could be started. So this is how it got started. But is this optimal? Possibly not, because we can at least very, very simplistically make an argument that innovation and entrepreneurship needs at least 2 legs: academia and industry. Even if you forget society, all of that, at least these 2 are needed. So some harmonization is needed, right? This is a worth problem working on. Okay, now let me show you some data that I haven't shown to anybody. No, not this one. So our number of incubators have gone 10 times. We started, as Professor Karandikar said, early days, it was the DST's intervention that started the incubators, but incubators at that time were thought about as technology transfer offices. Then came the era of the TDB, Tide, MATI, etc., which were all in premier engineering colleges. It's only recently that we have now diversified to all forms of industry. After, particularly, a lot of it is Atal Innovation Mission's contribution in textile, defense, handicraft, sustainable development goals, climate tech, women-centric incubators, particularly community-centric, coffee, design, agriculture, all of that. Okay, so that's recent, in the last 10 years. Now, let me turn to Atal Innovation Mission, because this is the data that we know is, we believe in, and we have collected it. There are 72 Atal incubation centers. Some of them, 9 of them are called experienced incubation centers because they were existing and they were given funding. So they currently have 3,500 or so active startups. About 31% are women co-founded or founded. About 8x leverage, all of that. This is just facts, okay? There are 14 community innovation centers, which are in tier 2, tier 3. We are trying to go up to 50. So we will go up to 101 AICs and 50 ACICs. About 74% of them are in tier 2, tier 3 locations. This is the map. Here is some data that we collected. Just for this talk, I thought we will collect some data that can be useful for the school. So 45 of the mature AICs who have been around for 4 years plus, of which 13 are in government academic institutions. These are typically IISc, say IIT, IIT, ICER, central or state government institution. 20 are private academic institutions like business schools, engineering colleges, universities. This is an important point to note because before Atal Innovation Mission, there was, and there still is, but there's a lot of private sector nervositis, right? Oh, this is private sector, don't give them. These 20 are private engineering colleges, okay? Good engineering colleges. And then 12 are the non-academic: health, automotive, agriculture, sustainability, defense, energy, women only, etc. This is the spread. This is the sample, these 45. Now, ask 3 questions, okay? First, how many startups did they incubate? A government academic institution, on average, in this sample, 11 new startups per year. I'm not talking about what type and all that, right? A private academic new startups, 23. No, AICs that are non-academic, 14. Okay? External funding leveraged by incubated startups. From the AICs in the government academic, 208 crores, 13 AICs. 475 from 20 AICs in the private. 192 crores from 12 AICs in non-academic. So this is the money they leveraged from outside after they were supported by the incubator. Okay. Third piece, average funding leveraged by a startup. If this startup was in government academic AIC, 1.2 crores, private 1.23 crores, non-academic 0.6 crores, 60 lakhs. Okay? Now, there are questions. This non-academic, what we see very clearly is that they are extremely, they're far more careful with money, non-academic incubators, because they are doing business. So they have a very different way of thinking about money. Also their ideas are different. And they are sector specific and all of that. So I don't have a lot of causal insight into it. I have questions. I'll leave you more with questions than I may have answers. Okay? But one last thing. Across these academic AICs, both public and private, there's one outlier. IISc, 45% of their incubated startups are by their own student or faculty. Rest of the academic institutions, 16 to 25% by their own student or faculty. Again, I only have questions about this because I've started looking at it as of last night. But the questions are, is it about access? It's just hard to get into the campus? That could be one interpretation, right? That, you can't get into it. How can you incubate it? So that's one. Second, is it about the way we teach? This is a deeper question. Are we invoking questions in our teaching that directly lead to entrepreneurship later on, no matter what the field may be, physics, chemistry, biology, whatever, energy sciences, etc., is a fairly, at lunch we were having a much deeper dialogue about it, but that's one question. Third is it about translation, that it's somewhere translational support and efficiency is higher? Fourth is it about specialization? Is it that a certain type of idea can only be incubated in a certain place? So don't know the answers to this, but isn't it interesting? So I'll leave you with that. So once again, if there are any questions, I'm happy to stay on, but I once again wanted to express my deepest gratitude for inviting me to this particular event, and many congratulations and Godspeed ahead for the next 10 years. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vaishnav. We would like to take up questions. So if, sure, ma'am.
Thank you, Chintan, for sharing all this data. Do you have aggregated data across all government programs? That would be very interesting to see. Because AICs is very unique. You go to even non-academic sector and private associations and all those things. But do you think if you take data from, say, DST and MEITI and all those things, this faculty-student ratio and other things will significantly be different than this?
Yeah, I think it could be. the help that I need from you and many others is that we agree to collect and share this data. Our experience so far, and it's a sort of navigation process. But for instance, this that a year ago we piloted the incubator assessment framework, right? This studies incubators on their input, process, output, outcome. It was developed by IIT Delhi and World Bank and also third party, not by us, right? When it came to piloting it, there have been two sets of issues. First, people were a little nervous that this is yet not piloted. Why do I want to apply it to my incubator? So we said, okay, we will apply it to our incubators. So we piloted it across 67 incubators at the time. And something very fascinating happened. We now know four bands in which our incubators stand, right? So the top band is fairly well functional, good incubators. We know them. A sign would be one of them, like that. Second band is great team, but weaker processes. Third band is weak processes and some organizational issues also. Fourth band, struggling. So it's beginning to be that now, so first we went to bands because we didn't want to rank. This was not a policing act. This was you knowing where you stand and going to the next step act. That now has generated the confidence that maybe we should rank all the incubators across. So if that happens, then we'll have a lot of this data. But by and large, we need a lot of support in building that consensus that we should put out our data. I think the data landscape is very uneven, and that is a problem to solve. How are you?
I know that you had been teaching at MIT years and have been moving in the ecosystem. Yeah, sorry. Were you able to, was I audible?
No, I could hear, but maybe others couldn't.
Right. So, Dr. Chindan, you had been teaching at MIT and moving around in the ecosystem of innovation, around in the sort of academy industry because of your Sloan School of Management. And not of late, you are associated with Atal Innovation Initiative. But also before that, I know that while being at MIT, you interacted with, MIT Tata Center and IIT Bombay's TCTD and all that. So based on your exposure and experiences, one or two bullets, comparative, like, what is it that the ecosystem here needs some kind of a learning or push, your views?
Thank you. Good to see you after so long. I think it really boils down to culture, both at student and faculty level. Professor Karandikar spoke about the I-Corps program. I have gone through the I-Corps program as an MIT faculty, and I'll narrate the experience so you maybe that will resonate in some way. That the I-Corps I-Corps is a program where you go for 3 months, whether you are a student or a faculty, and this is a market research program. You have to find 100 real potential customers and jot down their transcripts of your conversations with them, and analyze and all that. But the key thing is that it tries to teach you, which we know in theory, but it's so hard in practice, is that instead of an advocating mode, you want to go into inquiring mode. So instead of advocating what it is that you are working on as a product or an idea or a research or a service, you are only inquiring as to what that person wants, not what you have. And they continuously, they are very brutal actually. They keep yelling at you that, I told you, you don't go there. So you learn to inquire. And that shift of selling what you have versus knowing what somebody wants to buy, that process is taught there, which is a very fundamental shift from the way we academics think to the way and a business person thinks. I think that's really worth doing. That I think, and at MIT, in MIT environment, there's this pressure for academics to have to go through this, because students don't come to you if you are not entrepreneurial. So that, I think, if it happens, a competition between entrepreneurial academics and non-entrepreneurial academics, then I think it will be very interesting. The second cultural thing is on the student side also. I think at MIT what happens is that if you go through MIT and you are not touched by the idea of entrepreneurship, then you were probably sleeping. Yeah. And if you have an idea that you proved in the lab, not very basic, I'm not talking about a basic research type of, but even if it had an iota of application sort of signaled from it, if you don't attempt to take it to market, people look at you as, why are you not even trying it? So that culture, as it builds, I think that's what differentiates that place from most places, is my learning. Yeah. Somebody is there.
So, Professor Chintan, it's very nice to see you in this new role. I was just wondering, you showed us those maps. They're state-wise, but you see the disparity much more if you put it district-wise. Because yes. UP is pretty much empty unless you look at the national capital region. And similarly, Maharashtra, outside Mumbai, Pune, I don't think too much, and Karnataka also same story. So maybe that will give a slightly different picture. The other thing I was thinking is that does the Atal Innovation Mission have a piece which is related to education, related to entrepreneurship? And there is this Vadhwani Foundation which runs some courses and stuff like that. So is that something that you all have tried out?
Yeah. So I think your first point is absolutely right, that there's a lot of regional imbalance in the ecosystem. So bigger centers is where it's easier. Anywhere away from bigger towns, it becomes harder. These maps are, of course, they are state maps because as Niti, you talk to the state, and that's your kind of unit of impact type of a thing. And so these are, but absolutely, this disparity will be even more glaring once you put it at a district level. As Atal doing entrepreneurship education piece, we have done some experiments with it. One in particular which has produced something that can be used in a place like this is an experiment we did called AIM Prime. It was published as a book on Amazon, so you can share it. But here was the experiment. So this was with actually Bill and Melinda Gates, Vadhwani Foundation, and Venture Center in Pune, an Atal Innovation Mission, and the PSA's office. So we all came together to do a deep tech acceleration over 9 months, where we picked, we opened up this call where we picked about 22 ideas that were at technology readiness level of about 3 to 4 across science and technology institutions, which looked like deep tech ideas. We took their researchers, the students who were interested in doing a startup, the incubators that they were engaged with, so those managers, and the faculty whose lab these ideas were coming out of. And we took them through this 9-month acceleration, where the first 3 months were lectures by people world over, some, I mean, mostly India, but some international also. But these lectures were really given from the perspective of, if I am in my journey at level X, how do I go to X plus 1? What are my frameworks? So it was an entire series on frameworks and their application to take your deep tech idea forward. And then for the 6 months after, we really rigorously handheld these startups to apply these ideas and publish this as a document, a book with frameworks. Now, something very fascinating happened there. Well, first we realized that deep tech is still, if you want great deep tech ideas, then they are still very distributed across the nation. So there are no hotbeds of deep tech yet in that sense. But if you identify such ideas with such a methodology, we were able to jump them at least 1.5 TRL in 9 months, 1.5 to 2 TRLs. And these ideas, these 22 ideas, raised 20 crore plus in just those 9 months. They won 14 awards across the... So there's a template to doing deep tech. We are now proposing that we sort of formalize that template and start experimenting in places. So that's one thing we have done. The second thing that we are trying to do is we're also trying to do the human capital for the ecosystem, like the ecosystem managers, technicians, etc., trying to create some kind of a certification process so these people, our estimate is that about 6,000 such professionals will be needed, good ones, in the next 5 years at least, across the country. So we want to create some signaling mechanism so people would know that, oh, this person, if they have this certificate, then they know this thing type of. That is the other experiment we are involved in. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. And I'll be happy to talk. I'm around. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vaishnav. We are only 10% of our way as a country in the startup journey, and there are only 1 in 14,000 startups. So that gives us all at IIT Bombay a goal for the future and a goal for DSSE for the next decade. Having said that, I now request Professor Chaudhary to present Dr. Chintan Vaishnav with a memento of the event. Thank you so much, Professor Chaudhary. Thank you so much, Dr. Vaishnav. We are now ready for our first panel discussion, Entrepreneurship Education, Building Future Leaders. For this, I would like to introduce Professor Devdeep Purkyastham, who is the moderator for this panel. Professor Devdeep is Professor of Practice at the Dsse School of Entrepreneurship, IIT Bombay. He has served as the president of Enactus India and has 30 years of corporate experience both in India and abroad. His alma mater includes IIT Kharagpur and IIM Calcutta. Professor Devdi, please.
All right, namaskar. So let me just introduce the panelists and invite them on stage. First of all, I'd like to introduce and invite on stage Professor Rajesh Gopinathan. See, if I have to introduce all of them, I'll spend the entire panel time just covering the achievement of all the people. So I know Rajesh is now a professor of practice, but I think before he became a professor, yeah, but let me just do it one at a time, easier. Okay, so he's also a Chief Innovation Officer now for IIT Bombay, as Professor Chaudhary said. And he's in charge of making sure that everything that's in the lab then goes and have a real world impact. So now I'd like to invite Mr. Srijit Mishra. Hopefully he'll soon be a professor of practice somewhere. So he's the Chief Innovation Officer and Head of Services, Group Services for the Aditya Birla Group. So we've got someone from Tata's and we've got someone from the Birlas. And now we have, just move on. Yep. We have got Anuradha, who is the Chief HR Officer for Unilever. And she also heads HR for South Asia. And between Tata's, Birlas, and Unilever, you probably got as good the corporate. So what I'll do is, let me just spend just a couple of minutes, maybe 3 minutes to set the context. Okay? In DSSC, the context for DSSC is that we are trying to codify, and as Dr. Chintan said, demystify the art or the craft of entrepreneurship. Electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil, CS has been codified, textbooks have been written, papers have been published for centuries, or at least decades. Entrepreneurship is still an untamed animal. And in our school, we are trying to codify it in terms of courses, credits, and so on. When I and Professor Anu were discussing the topic for today, we started a journey on trying to codify and demystify the most complex entrepreneurial skill or requirement is leadership. Leadership is probably one of the toughest to codify, and we'll have a discussion. We'll have some interesting discussion around leadership. But just before, to set the framework, so all of you know where you're coming from, the students are back. We've got a lot of leaders here. We've got Professor Kakkar, we have Professor Milind, we have Professor Santosh. Students at the back, how many of you see yourself as leaders today? Please raise your hands. Raise your hands. How many of you are leaders today? And how many of you are leaders in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, 5 years? Most of you are IIT Bombay, they're RDSTC. How many of you will be a CXO, CEO, you know? It's a trick question. So first, we are starting on a journey of codifying leadership. Leadership is tricky. You can be a manager, but not a leader. You can be a head, not a leader. Okay? You can be a captain, not a leader. And they will share with you what is leadership. So that's the first context. Second context is because we're IT, it's about technology leadership, entrepreneurial leadership. And the model that we talk about, and we will develop it amongst ourselves after the panel as well, is what we call the TIP 3, which is TIPPP, which is how do you lead technology? How do you lead innovation to improve the planet, water, air, food, to improve people's lives, health, education, livelihoods, and how do you create shared prosperity? So how do you take all the technology in IIT Bombay, all the innovation in IIT Bombay, and how do you use that how do you lead that, especially the future leaders, into improving the planet, improving the people, and improving the prosperity, shared prosperity, jobs, livelihoods, etc. So that's the second framework. And the third framework is that it's a journey. Leadership is a journey. You start off being a disruptor. All entrepreneurs start off being a disruptor. But you end up being a sustainable leader. Every of the companies that we worked with, all with 100-year-old companies, Lever Brothers started Levers in 1929. Okay? Lever Brothers were disruptors. Today, it's a global leading company. I met for Mr. Kohli, long time back, Mr. Tata's. They're disruptors. 150 years back. Mr. Ghanshyam Das Billa, G.D. Billa, Aditya Billa, Kumar Bangala Billa, in their days, they're disruptors. I worked with Procter & Gamble. Mr. Procter and Mr. Gamble were disruptors in 1837. But they led their business through the First World War, the Second World War, the Indian independence struggle, Mr. Billa. The Lever Brothers led the war through the European wars. So how do you become, you start off being a disruptor, all of you gentlemen and ladies at the back, huh? How do you use your education to start off being a disruptor and entrepreneur? And then how do you create a business, not to sell out and make money, how do you create a business to improve planet, the people, and the profit? That's the context. Okay? So let me start with the topic itself, developing future leaders. You guys, all of you at the back. Okay? And let me ask the first question to Anuradha, which is an interesting question, which is, are leaders born or can they be developed? Was Mahatma Gandhi a born leader? Was Nelson Mandela a born leader? Was Martin Luther King a born leader? Or can they be developed? So that's the first question.
Thank you. Thank you for laying out that very compelling context. I wouldn't be so presumptuous as to say that Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King could have been developed. They, of course, were exceptional people with exceptional qualities. But for most part, I do believe that leaders can absolutely be nurtured. I think Hindustan Unilever and the organization that I've been part of is testament to the fact that what we say is nurture greater than nature. Because I was very positively struck to see so many hands going up when Devdeep said, are you a leader today? But 500 CXOs have come out of Hindustan Lever, but 500 CXOs ago, if we'd asked them at the start of their journeys, how many of them would be CXOs? I'm sure not too many of them would put their hands up. I can speak for myself that when I joined this organization 25 years ago, I wouldn't have given myself even a 5% chance of sitting where I sit today. I think at the heart of the institution is a philosophy that, first of all, leadership development is everybody's business. And I think this is something that can translate across sectors, across organizations. And I think it's the first thing is that embracing of that belief that it's not just the professors, it's not just the HR department, but it's everybody's business. And the second thing is that great talent attracts great talent. So wherever you are, in whatever position you are, if you settle for second best, the people below that will settle for second best. And I think it's this philosophy which has really endured and allowed us to create an institution that has stood the test of time over 90 years. And of course, there is a repeatable process in the way you hire people. So what, selection, whether it's an academic institution, whether it is the School of Entrepreneurship, whether it's an organization like ours, I think the criteria for selecting the right people, codifying that process, making sure that the people who are part of that process are ambassadors for the values and traits that you want to hire for is one thing. The second thing, which I think is really talking about Hindustan Unilever, is the induction, the years of early grounding and training. And the fact that, 90 years ago, Srijit was there many years before me. I was there 25 years ago as a management trainee. But the program that we went through and the program that the people who are going through today is 80–90% the same. So, it's almost boringly consistent in the way we have sustained it. And I think that's what makes institutions codify and sustain mechanisms to grow leaders consistently. For example, we believe that, giving people that scaffolding at the start of their journey in terms of coaches, tutors, guides, that is really even more important than what you teach themselves or the time spent in getting to know the organization. So the early grounding is very important. And then, of course, the leadership experiences, the feedback, the support that you get. So I definitely there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that leaders can grow and be nurtured, but I'll take a pause here so that we can hear from the other two esteemed panelists and we can come back for more.
Okay, so that's the message for all of you at the back. Learn your electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, do your experiments in the lab, but do not forget to practice leadership. Leadership and impacting the people, the planet, and the prosperity. Now, the second question, there's so much of change. Technology is changing every day. Okay, AI has just come in, all this LLM and chat GPT was not even there 1 year back. Okay, there's wars going on. There's COVID which has come out of nowhere. There's geopolitical tension between, US and China and India. Everything is changing. Does that mean that the leaders today will be very different from the leaders tomorrow, the kind of leaders you will become at the back, all the students there? Will you be a different kind of leaders than some of us have been today? And no better to answer the question than Shijit, who is actually heading innovation for this very large group.
Thank you, Professor, and thanks, Amar. It was almost back to basics, as we hear HUL has always done. The world is changing much faster, and all of us know this. It's been a VUCA world. You all know the meaning of VUCA. But it is much more, the speed of VUCA has increased tremendously. Speed has gone up dramatically. If you thought AI has started playing out, just watch what will happen in the next 3 to 6 months. It will interpret what you're thinking next. If it is doing what if in EQ, your IQ levels are at 150, the next rung of what you'll see on AI will be at 1500. And who knows, it's going to 15,000. The reality is that there's a lot changing across the board in the VUCA atmosphere and faster. And I want to use an acronym called FINER. And you need finer qualities, and no pun intended. F for flexible, I for intuitive, what I used to call Ghattu when I was in levers. Intuitive, N for non-linear, don't have to have linear thinking, non-linear. E is excitable. आपके पास 100 सांसें हैं, you got 100 breaths, use them positively, don't use them negatively. And the last one is R, finer. R is responsible behavior. Anything that you do, whether you're heading a function, you're heading a business, you're heading a department, it's all about these finer qualities. As you look at some things, however, don't change. There are lots of things that will be changed faster. The whole global order is changing. People are changing much faster. The whole concept of global order has changed. Digitalization at the pace at which is going. Needs of people have changed dramatically. They are, in fact, in many ways, we believe the consumer customers are ahead of what technology is able to give them. I personally believe that some fundamentals haven't changed, and what we call it as the A model of growth. The first part of A is consumer customer insights. Do you know what pain points you're trying to resolve? And if you know what pain points you're trying to resolve, how are you different and unique from other people who are providing the same? This is an important question that everything must be asked. Every person who's working on an area must answer. The second question of the A, which is the second part of the A, is, am I doing this more sustainably than before? In terms of driving benefits to all its stakeholders, and not just the product process, benefits of margins, whatever, what have you, market share. But are you really generating value from an environment, social governance perspective? Everything else in the middle of the A are enablers. Technology is an enabler. Innovation, inside out, outside in, is an enabler. Partnerships are enablers, academia partnerships. You know, one of the reasons why Switzerland is number one in innovation today in the world is because the government, academia, and corporates all come together to create an environment where, and right from beginning, so let me explain what do I mean by that. If you want to create courses for the future, and I'm very passionate about this area because I spent about at least 14 years of my life working with startups and mentoring, I don't know, thousands of startups. The reality is that we start, when we get into teaching, we say, ye aisa nahi hota hai. This cannot be done. And we heard today the talk about, you know, the negativity of, are you willing to take risks? Out of 100, 5 will clear the boundary. Are we willing to take that risk? So how do we then fail small is what we need to think. Why should entrepreneurship be a separate thing only? It should be a part of every course. Look at courses today. All of them are combinations. In the real world, when you have an issue or a problem, it's a combination of engineering, legal, marketing, inciting, what have you. It's a combination work. Even on courses, can we have combination pieces? Can we take real problems that industry faces and can we make them as a part of a course? Because that is going to give you real learning, something that is useful, and maybe you will come up with some answers that you can create a business out of. The reality is that we let people, through a way of teaching and a way of doing things that have been there for many, many years. We have to change that model, enable them to take risk, and I repeat, make mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. If you're making the same mistakes, there's a problem. You can learn from others' mistakes, but you must make mistakes. And one of the questions that in Unilever used to ask in every meeting, still do it, 2 questions. What did you fail last time, since the last time we met? Ask this question, personally and professionally. If you didn't, you're not stretching. Second question, what is it that you did for the first time in your life, personally and professionally? Very important, that's the time you grew as an individual. It's very important to do that. The last point I want to make is about diversity. Again, very passionate about diversity. It's not just about women alone. Everybody comes into a way of working, including the university, and within 6 months they're all talking, believing, acting the same. Why? There's something that we do that's not quite correct. We don't allow for that diversity to exist. What do we do? What is it that we're not doing right? And I think that, so when you look at industry, for example, we spend millions of dollars. We say, what's the average score of the company? This gentleman is at 3.5, the average score is 4.1. Let's help him to go to 4.1. Without realizing that he has an edge at 4.6 on something, and he may go faster to 4.9 to create an edge. So invest around an edge of a person or an individual, and that will help you. Universities, by the way, in the world are doing this. As a kid comes into the school, he does a 360 degree that tells what is his area of strength, what is his area of interest, and then they give them experiences in that area of interest and strength, so that he or she develops in that space. It's important for us to match the person with the kind of role that he or she should play in the entrepreneurship world.
Just a show of hands again to engage. How many of you sitting at the back are okay to fail? Because you know the IT system, oh, okay. Wow. Well, the IT system doesn't allow you to fail for, the JE process, the CGPA, the placement process, and it's also a win-lose. For me to be a topper, someone else has to not be a topper. For me to get into JE, someone else can't get into JE. So if all of you guys are raising your hands and okay to fail, and I see many entrepreneurial students here, fantastic. A leader has to be able to fail and learn from failure. Okay, now let's ask Rajesh another question. Look, he's been there, done that, he's seen the whole journey. He started. So what does a typical journey for an entrepreneur is also business. Now, let's forget the jargon called entrepreneurship and startup. A startup is also a business. You're building a business. Let's not make no mistake about it. It's just a small business that you're starting up with some technology. So what does a leadership journey look like from, let's say, an MT, management trainee, to a MD, managing director? You have done it all. So what does the journey look like?
One step at a time. So, first of all, thank you for inviting and congratulations to Anu, you and the entire Dsse team. 10 years, fantastic milestone. I think I'll take back a bit on what Anu said. And when we asked how many of you want to be leaders, all of you put your hands up. That clearly shows a big generational shift. When we were growing up, I'm now 52, so it's some time back. School days, I grew up in North India, UP. वो leader बनना चाहता है was said in a negative way. नेता बनना चाहता है, leader बनना चाहता है. हम तो यूपी में तो leader बोलते थे. Actually, that was the conditioning. And now to see that when a question like that is asked, all of you putting your hands up, and that shows how much we have changed, and it really, does two things. There's a lot of hope. I'm really happy to see that. And also tells me that we need to be careful about giving advice to you guys, because, we are coming from a different context, and you are growing up in a different context. So whatever we say, take it with that perspective. And that shows how we have changed as a nation also. Because in these last 50 years, a lot has happened for us as a country. Going back to that question about leadership journey. So again, keep this, what I said, in context, right? But when we joined organizations, actually nobody, at least I didn't think about whether I'll be one day a CXO or whether I'll be heading a unit, let alone the company itself. It was more that you're getting an opportunity to work in an organization. And the conditioning was that you got to first, you've been given the opportunity, you got to earn the opportunity. And that was the mindset with which we approached it. And throughout the journey, it was always about, this is a job that's given, how can we do it to the best of our capability? And that opens up new opportunities. And that kind of constantly kept on expanding the playing space for us, and giving us more and more opportunities to prove ourselves, to grow as individuals, to grow as teams, and that kind of led to that pathway. I would say that at any point in time, I had no visibility 5 years forward. So that is, I'm saying retrospectively. So every time I look back, that 5 years back, did I think that I'll be here? Actually, I had there's no way that I could have known that I would have been at this point 5 years back. So forget about looking forward. So I think it's important as individuals and also as companies to keep that in mind. That if you're going to set up a small company, you need to play with the opportunity that is currently there, build trust, and create space for yourself so that your addressable space increases, and then you again execute on it and build trust. So some of the things that do well for you are, and it is true for both individuals and enterprises, people, customers, your financial discipline, and your value creation or delivery model that was spoken about. If you think about people, the people that you work with, they might not be the same that you're going to work with later on. But every time people remember you about how you were with other people. So that, that builds up a lot of organizational equity, even if you move between organizations. Customers, same rule. Every customer that you have, if you treat the customer right, the amount of equity that it builds, it gives you the right to earn the next customer and the next customer. And in an organization like TCS, our top 10 customers, there are 3 of them who have been with us for more than 40 years. So that gives the kind of confidence and the kind of equity that is required for building a large organization. Financial discipline, it's not something that you will learn later on. I know that maybe again that's age speaking, but when I look at enterprises that are built on the model that will burn today and then will become profitable tomorrow, I'm always skeptical, because either you learn it right the first time around or you're not going to get it right unless you go through a earth-shaking event and you're a total mix. And the last one is the delivery model. What is the value proposition? It was so beautifully articulated earlier. Do you have the ability to create a value proposition in a sustainable, in a predictable, in a controllable way? And think about what that value proposition is, and you will automatically be, whether as an individual or as a enterprise, you will be on a path to growth and eventual success.
Yep, I see the MC already showing this, which means 5 minutes. So let me just attempt one thing. I want to just check, because in a panel, we can only cover a little bit of stuff. We end the panel, all of us have forgotten, you have forgotten. But let's have an action step out of the panel. And we wanted to check your appetite, especially at the back, the students, and Shamiksa yourself. Your appetite for a course or some teachable format about entrepreneurial leadership. See, we already have courses on entrepreneurial marketing. Dr. Chitra, we have already codified entrepreneurial marketing, entrepreneurial finance, entrepreneurial innovation, entrepreneurial prototyping, etc. What we have not done so far is codified and created a course on entrepreneurial leadership. So we had a bit of an informal chit-chat. And from a supply side, in creating the course, we have the panelists willing to pitch in for either an in-class or an online, because an IT course doesn't have to be only for IT, it should be for the whole world. We can create an online course. They have an appetite to create it and put it on an online platform. Let me do a customer survey, because no point we create a brilliant course which none of you use. Do you guys have an appetite for an entrepreneurial leadership course? Please show me, show me a raise. Don't be forced. RGSTC, ladies. It makes sense? Okay, so we will attempt something, Professor Anu. We'll attempt something. Between 4 of us will try and put it on an online platform, okay, Coursera or NPTEL or something, and that will add to our course this thing. Just the last 2-3 minutes, we had one more round of questions. We're running out of time. We have a lot of leaders sitting here. It's Professor Kakkar, Dr. Chintan, Professor Anand. There are many leaders. Any tips? We are not the only leaders in this room. Anything that about leader? Professor Kakkar, any tips on leadership? Yeah. So the next one was the question from the students. Okay, but we just want to make sure if other leaders want to speak. But you're right. Questions, guys? Shamiksha, you stop emceeing and ask a question now. You've done enough emceeing. Oh, where is it? To whom? Just mention to whom you're asking.
At IIT today, we have on one hand faculty members and PhDs who are developing deep tech or good technology. At the same time, we have undergraduate or master students who have been hired by big corporates for managing their technology or for product development. How can we connect the dots within our own ecosystem and create an incentive-based framework, especially for the UGs to indulge in these kind of activities and innovate?
That's a $1 million question. In many ways, the whole creation of this role is to try and establish that how can we programmatically bring these two stakeholders and a larger stakeholder universe of what we're calling entrepreneurs, because there are potential entrepreneurs among the student community. There is a larger entrepreneurial ecosystem also. How do we bring it together and connect it with the core research and development work that's happening inside IIT to be able to create those kind of initiatives? But no fixed model. We are studying what's out there, and today what you mentioned about the book that is there, or how that acceleration framework worked, we will look at that also and figure out what has to be done. But the intent is, how do we actually simplify the interface for both discovery as well as support, so that this collaboration can happen. The components of it are already present. We have a entrepreneurship development ecosystem with both SIGN as well as the DSSE. We have various translational research activities that are currently going on. We have a lot of student-led activities on the student body side, which actually exposes students to the entrepreneurial work. We need to bring all of these together and make it into a cohesive whole, and that's what the attempt is going to be.
Hello, everyone. My question isn't specific to any one of you, and I would like to build upon his question. So, when we speak about entrepreneurship, it need not necessarily be starting up. Entrepreneurial mindset could be applied into business as well. So, since all three of you come from business background, holding such huge companies, how has been your experience when it comes to applying entrepreneurial mindset in your own businesses?
Look, I think one of the large organizations like the one I come from are very good at doing things that are in the core, or at the heart, front and center of their strategy. So big brands, scaling them, we're very good at. And then the whole organization rallies around that. People want jobs everybody wants to be associated, because like we heard before, that appetite for risk is because, this is a formula, and therefore the whole organization is wired to gravitate to that. However, for us to be successful and relevant as we go forward, it's equally important that we disrupt ourselves before we get disrupted by others. And therefore, I want to give you a small example of something we've done. Today for FMCG, a consumer goods company, the level of intensity of competition is immense and are very different. It's not the large companies that lead into your breakfast, but the plethora of startups, incubators. And therefore, we said, how can we create a startup within our larger organization, and what would that mean like? And there, the first thing was to, get people to volunteer and be excited about taking up that job, which means making that risky job attractive, ring fencing them, incentivizing them differently. The second thing is about liberating them from the process and hierarchy, which can slow down large organizations. And the third is to push them to say, look, be connected to the outside and be obsessive about the consumer. The first leader left because everybody is not, but the biggest learning for us, we could have easily picked up and folded it back into the mothership. But we said, this is the moment to continue. 3-4 years later, you start to see 100 crores, 200 crores, which may not seem big in the company which is 7 billion, 8 billion, but it's teaching us, building us muscle, which is going to be absolutely ready for the future. So this is one experience that I wanted to share.
I'll take 2 quick examples to explain that to you. One is from my, she's giving the HUL example. When you redefine your business differently, it suddenly begins to open up new opportunities. Let me take Times of India. We defined our business not as a media business, but as a business that has access to top 1% of India. Suddenly, the opportunity to create a new brand called Brand Capital came from nowhere. How many of you know that that company has an asset under management of almost $10 billion invested in other companies by giving ad space and taking equity. It's a big piece. That's one great example of saying how do you redefine your business to create, and I was very much at the forefront of doing that piece for that company. One of the pieces that I did. The second thing that I can tell you is in our current company, it's a massive company. But entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs. They're not your employees. To get a large company to start working with entrepreneurs, and today we have, I can proudly say, 150 startups working in the organization. 80 of them, 85 of them are from India, and they're from all over the country, across the field, and about 60, 70 are from across the world. So the model works. And our company invests in them, gives them scale, and they begin to grow, they get funding, they get this, that, and the other. And suddenly we are realizing by partnering with startups, you can really change the pace at which an organization as large as ours could actually look at things like digitalization, sustainability and innovation, new materials, energy, how do you save energy better, huge opportunities to partner. And the third example I can give you is governments. The opportunity, we work personally with about 15 governments across the world, including ours, to get solutions to real issues. And one of the things I wanted to ask our secretary was that truly organizations like yours must work with other, it's not about competition anymore. There are too many urgent issues that needs answers. You and I in our lifetime will see problems that you wouldn't have ever thought of. Look at the kind of climate change you're getting. So there's an urgent need for startup ecosystems across the world to come together. UK says that I want to promote my startups. India says I want to promote my startups. Every country says, Israel says I want to promote my startups. Where is a company like ours who wants to work? The answer is not with one guy. Perhaps the answer is a combination of 3 or 4 guys to the questions that we're trying to answer. And when I tell them that we want to combine the 4, there's a massive gawking first, saying, no, we want to promote our guy. Slowly they're coming around now. They say, oh no, we need to find answers, not discuss just in Davos, but really find real answers to real issues. How do you get ecosystems of academia, startups, and corporates to come together to actually solve the real issue? I'll take one example. Nuclear fusion could be a big panacea for the future. Every other country, UK is working at it. Because UK split from the rest of them, now France has started. MIT has an opportunity to work there. Everybody is working their own piece. How many places do you want me to participate? 10 places? It's not possible. Let's come together, combine. Let's try one place where we can start a small piece that can make a big difference to energy. And suddenly you'll find that there'll be takers for it. I hope I've answered your question.
At 76, it is too late to ask questions of how to be an entrepreneur. So I will only share some observations. I'll add to what Anuradha said to the question of the young girl. You cannot be the only entrepreneur in your organization. You have to create an ecosystem where in your team there are several people who think like an entrepreneur. That is very essential. Now, as far as innovation, that's the subject today. Actually, innovation is a continuous journey. It never stops. You have to keep innovating and reinventing. Without that, you cannot succeed. You can have initial success, but later it will be a flat line. But what is really important, and that is some of the things touched by Rajesh, what determines success and failure is not the nuts and bolts of the business. You definitely know about it. It is the soft issues. That is what makes the real difference. And I think there really is a need
make would-be entrepreneurs aware of the soft issues that are required to have success and to sustain it. Thank you.
Yeah. The only thing that I'll offer before I hand over to Milind is that imagine the power of IIT Bombay Technology and Innovation partnering with two people here who have spent most of their lives. I mean, she is still with Unilever, and I spent a lot of my life with Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble and Unilever, Tatas and Birlas. Imagine the power of IIT Bombay working with people from Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Tatas, Birlas. Imagine the power. Professor, so that was my closing comment from the panel side, and Professor Milind was, was almost the architect of both SIGN and DSSC, and he headed our IRCC.
So my question is, as Dean R&D, I would witness almost one faculty member coming to me and telling me that I want to start a company, and specifically to Rajesh. We have lost 3 faculty members who became entrepreneurs, and they left IIT Bombay. Now, of course, and I've seen several faculty members, and possibly there are at least 67 faculty members, if I'm right, who started a company with their PhD students and postdocs and all that thing. But entrepreneurship is not part-time. Similarly, teaching at IIT Bombay is also not part-time. So what's your advice to the faculty members?
I think the answer was given by Dr. Vaishnav itself, that when he said that in MIT, students will not go or not prefer to go to faculty or not take faculty seriously if they don't have established some kind of an entrepreneurial appreciation. That's the future, right? Because we were used to a certain era earlier. In the future, entrepreneurial capability will become table stakes, whether we become full-time entrepreneurs or not. But entrepreneurial capability, entrepreneurial aspiration is going to become table stakes for what the students demand and what will be required. So I don't think it's a 0-1 situation. And the few that did go and start their own are actually bringing credibility to the entire faculty set, and also providing a pathway for others to know what is there. Some might go halfway and come back, others might go all the way, but I would think that that makes the faculty body stronger rather than weaker. So I do believe wholeheartedly that we should encourage it full and let them be free. The ones who go out will leave behind a much stronger legacy, which will be very, very beneficial for the rest of the faculty.
Thanks a lot. That was quite insightful. We learned a lot of new things, and I would resonate with all of my friends out here that we would indeed become new leaders. Deep sir would like to present some mementos to the panelists. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. We'll now have a short tea break. We'll be back with our event at 6:35. It's a 10-minute short break. Thank you, everyone, for your presence.
Can I request everybody to settle down, please? I know that we didn't give you time for chai, but this way we get time for dinner. Can I request everyone to settle down, please? We are going to start with an address by Bharat Desai, who's our benefactor, visionary, and someone whose intent kind of helped start us. I'm a faculty member. I'll start calling out student names and ask them to sit down. Ramesh Abdur Ha. So that's what is going to happen soon. Sorry about that. But can you all please settle down? We really want to get started. We have about an hour and 15 minutes to go. I'll try and see what we can curtail out of it. But don't want to curtail many interesting things that we have for you. Firstly, the AV guys at the back, can I have the first 2 rows of lights off because we're going to show a video. Somebody from my team, can you please make sure Professor Phatak and Chintan are in the room because they are addressed in the video. Can you please step out and get Professor Phatak, Dr. Chintan. Be nice to get Professor Jaswa also if you can. Tell them we have started. Shivam, hi. My way of saying hi is, Janta, please settle down. This is now going to be class and we'll give you a surprise quiz soon. Okay, first 2 rows of lights. I'm going to wait a minute more for Dr. Phatak. So thank you and sorry we rushed you, starting the second half of the program. We have one panel discussion and we have some awards and some felicitations. So we'll need your clapping hands throughout the last 30 minutes. So please stay in your seats and stay happy and keep engaged. I think we'll, this is an address by Bharat Desai, who is the benefactor for the Desai Sethi School of Entrepreneurship. And he shares with us his vision for entrepreneurship and why he and his wife Nirja Sethi set up this center which then became a School of Entrepreneurship. Deepa, can you play the video please?
I'm truly humbled by the presence of so many high-achieving luminaries at this event. Dr. Vaishnav, Dr. Karandikar, Dr. Phatak, and Professor Chaudhary. My personal thank you to all of you for being here in person and for all the contributions you've made on India's technology and innovation frontiers. I have a deep-rooted conviction about the transformational impact of education and entrepreneurship in society. Our entrepreneurial journey has been so fulfilling. We felt compelled to launch a school to enable thousands of young men and women to pursue their dreams of becoming entrepreneurs and changing the world. That's how the Dsse Sethi School of Entrepreneurship was born. I'm deeply grateful to Professor Devang Kakkar for immediately embracing our idea 10 years ago, and to Mr. Anand Kusre and my friend, classmate, and fellow yogi, Raj Jaswa, for working tirelessly and passionately in nurturing DSSC from an idea to a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. Special thanks also to the Stanford Technology Venture Program for the invaluable support they extended to us at launch, and to Professor Ravi and Professor Anu for their leadership in driving DSSC forward. As leaders, we at IIT Bombay and the Dsse Sethi School of Entrepreneurship must dream big. That is our responsibility and what society and India expects from us. What game-changing impact can DSSC lead that will help society and provide a tremendous boost to India's smart, hardworking youth? I would like to suggest 2 areas. We have the best biotech innovation ecosystem in India, thanks to Dr. Kakurkar's vision and the strong experience garnered by the biotech team on our campus over the past 10 years. They have helped launch 20 successful medical devices to the market, touching 1 million individuals. How can BETEC and Dsse School of Entrepreneurship come together to launch hundreds of companies and change the lives of 1 billion people? These companies can create the next generation of medical devices to put India on the world map. I'm confident our students, faculty, and the BETEC and DSSE leadership are up to this challenge. India has another significant, once-in-a-millennium opportunity. There are over 60 million micro businesses in India, over 300 million globally. These are very small businesses with hyper-local operations. Let's empower these micro enterprises to go digital, expand their reach, and vastly improve services to their customers. This would have transformative societal impact in our world. In the process, we will unleash the creativity of 1 million digital entrepreneurs or digipreneurs and create several million jobs for our youth. Can we, in addition to what we do, also create a highly scalable digital program to support this truly unique opportunity for India? As leaders, we at IIT Bombay, the Dsse School of Entrepreneurship, and Atal Innovation Mission must work together to make this happen and make Digital India a world leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Mr. Dsse. As a student of entrepreneurship with a specific research interest in biotechnology, that talk on medical devices was quite insightful for me. I kind of found it interesting. Moving further, I would like to now invite Professor Sankalp, who will be moderating a panel discussion on entrepreneurship ecosystem, enabling job creators. Professor Sankalp, the panel.
Good evening, everybody. I'm so enthralled at this opportunity to welcome our panel members. All 3 of them have walked what is called in IIT Bombay the Infinity Corridor, not very long back as UG students. And in very short period of time, all 3 of them have gone out and have made a name for themselves in this evolving entrepreneurship ecosystem. So let me invite them one by one. Next. Yeah, so Ankit Mehta, dual degree MEC 2005, co-founded Idea Forge, the drone company, steering it all the way from student activity centers to trying to fly an UAV near the lake, to finally taking it to the NSE itself. Ankit. Namita Dalmia, dual degree elect 2006, followed by a Stanford MBA. From volunteering to teach children in her final year to co-founding Enzia Ventures, which invests in technology ventures in the space of education, healthcare, and environment. Namita. And Shivabrata Das, Shibam, as we all address him, Civil Engineering 2012, famously argued with his co-founder before this venture began as to who would switch off or change the regulator of the fan when they were consuming an India-Australia match. To now, Atomberg being the fan company, which is the official partner of BCCI for the national cricket team. Wouldn't you then, ladies and gentlemen, agree with me that this presents to us an absolutely lip-smacking opportunity to delve into the topic, entrepreneurship ecosystem enabling job creators? Because we have with us on this stage 3 superstar products of this ecosystem who are now producing the ecosystem. In their journey, they would have taken the good and not so good hits on their chin, even as it propelled them to the glorious entrepreneurial orbit that they all occupy. So with this, let me on your behalf pose the first thread of thought to them. Students come here at a very, very young age with bright eyes, dreams, and now also talking about entrepreneurship. That change has happened. Possibly in your time, that would not have been so commonplace. And now IIT Bombay tries to nudge them, push them, encourage them for a particular kind of entrepreneurship. Not the business model innovations, not that there's anything bad about it, simply that that ecosystem has already been figured out, and also our national strategic priorities are around more what Professor Chintan Vaishnav called deep tech ventures. Now, we all know that even before you reach the more conventional and traverse the valley of death of market opportunities, you have a very wide, treacherous, and rocky technological valley of death to traverse. You would have seen certain bridges being attempted. You would have peered at it with wide eyes. And even now, today, you are helping so many traverse it. Would like to hear your thoughts, your own experiences, and what should be done to make the bridge smoother for students across the country, including at IIT Bombay.
So, thanks, Professor Sankal, for this question. I think most important part of doing any deep tech work or technology development is not to be afraid of doing it. I think more often than not, conventional businesses in our country and in general, people have been shy of actually doing it. And because nobody does it, nobody invests enough energy behind it, I think we feel like it is some rocket science, and therefore nobody really gets onto that path so easily. Once you start doing things, you realize things are doable. And that is what, in my opinion, changes the experience a lot. So there is no better, platform than probably the educational institutions that we have to have people build things. And as many people that will build things, they will realize that the first and the best thing that happens when you start building things is that you encounter failure. And nothing works right the first time. And that journey of constantly being at it, I think automatically creates an environment where, things are doable. And they become doable because you have to persevere to get anything right. And I think if you can experience it in a more secure environment like an educational institution, it can set you up for a lot of confidence of doing that later in your life. And that's what happened to us at least. We just kept building as many things as we could. I personally implemented over 20 hardware projects when I was a student here. And many of them were my original ideas, supported by the faculty giving money out of their project funds. So I think if that experience, what that did to us, and my team had a very, very similar journey. Many of them we did together. What it did to us is that by the time we were graduating, we knew for sure that anything we can imagine, we will convert it into something physical. Whether it will work or not, it will take iterations, attempts, but it'll get there. That confidence is what, if educational institutions can instill, I think taking on the challenge of doing deep tech is not that difficult if you have that experience. That's my thought.
Yeah, thanks. Amita?
No, I think Ankit has beautifully, talked about this relationship between the institutions and the entrepreneurs and the faculty, and the collaborative ecosystem, that is getting even more and more created, right? I actually wanted to talk about two different things, pertaining to your question. I think deep tech requires a lot of patience and patient capital. I think government is also facilitating that capital to be available, but I think maybe we need much more philanthropic grants to come about to fund a lot of research and innovation and building in the prototyping stage itself. So that is one. Second, I think just like in the internet technology startup world, today we have so much shared infrastructure at a global level, right? Like whether it's cloud computing, whether it is, anything that you name, the UPI infrastructure, which has enabled so many internet technology, startups. We need to really, get there in terms of the hardware deep tech. And I think I'd love to hear from my co-panelist on this point, right? And I think some incubators are also getting there to kind of create that shared infrastructure, but a lot more can happen, which will enable a lot more experimentation, testing, and everything. And the third bit, and these are the different points of valleys of death, and that's why I'm covering these. And the third bit is really on the commercialization piece, right? I do think government, B2B and B2G ends up being a lot, customers for a lot of deep tech startups. I think if there is one appeal I'll make to the government of India is to say, can we figure out our procurement policies, right? Like so that the selling becomes easier, the commercialization becomes easier, right? So with what all government is doing to enable the startup ecosystem, I think just even in terms of, the buying process, the commercialization, especially when they are a very important customer, I think is very important because as an investor, when I think about it, a lot of companies are like, oh, your buyers are going to be government, and sometimes it scares me, So I'm saying, if that can also be sorted systematically, in due course, I think that again, hopefully takes us away from the value of depth and, give that boost that the startup ecosystem needs. So those are my 3 points. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's a privilege to share the stage with Ankit and Namita. And I was very confident until I was sitting there. Then I come on stage and saw professor's face, and I got nervous. It's very difficult to speak in front of them. Having said that, so I think first of all, university or as a student is the best time to start because you have no liability, and the opportunity cost is far lower as than an experienced person. So I think you should just do it. That's the first thing as a student if you want to really start. Having said that, university and ecosystem has a lot of role to play in shaping that journey and giving that initiative shape. And IIT Bombay has been a great example. There are so many ecosystems like Sign, Dsse, Batik, and there are many more ecosystems. And if I break up the entire university ecosystem, I will probably put it into 3-4 building blocks. So one, of course, is students. You have great talents. Second is professors. Third is infra, lab, etc. And the fourth is, let's say, the funding and overall ecosystem. I think one area where I definitely believe a lot can be done, than what is already done, is where contribution of professors in shaping the startup ecosystem. You have the best professors in the country, in most of these colleges. How do we leverage this? How do we, because deep tech needs functional expertise, which these professors have. Now, how do we incentivize, how do we create a system and policies which enable this ecosystem, this expert knowledge in enabling young entrepreneurs, young startups, is one area where I believe we can further work as an ecosystem, as a government, as a policy. So yeah, I think enabling and professor is one definite area that I will probably focus on. And rest, I think we are progressing. She already has mentioned about the government procurement area. The third, I think, if I do some comparison and benchmark against saying that the best universities in the world and Indian universities, I think the lab ecosystem, the lab infra, can be enhanced further. Right? So there we need to probably speed up slightly more so that we can do a lot more experiments faster and maybe at a lower cost. So yeah, I think these are two things that I just put it for this section.
Right. Thanks. I'll just some comments on what Ankit said. So a few days back, Professor Raj Jaswa, he was in my classroom. He's in India right now. He's here, and he was telling students the very same thing, that the time is so right. You just have to do it, and things will start falling in place. You are in the most resourceful time in possibly India's history for this. So yes, broadly, yes. And Shibam, your thought about the role of faculty members. Increasing number of faculty members from IIT Bombay are taking it up, but I would just like to share something very similar that happened. So 6 months back, I was in IIT Jodhpur, and so the annual appraisal, the process here is very different than what we have in corporates, but you do fill up a form as to what have you done. So when I got the form first time when I was at IIT Jodhpur, and I was working heavily on the entrepreneurship ecosystem building, leading the incubator and all of that. So I went through all of it, and I was like, the word entrepreneurship was not there on that 6-page form. And so when I went to Dean Faculty, Professor Venkateshan, he's an IIT Kanpur senior faculty, unmanned vehicle modeling, I told him, Professor, this seems to be absent, and the only place I can put it is in any other. And he said, oh, this is a good point. So they it's a young institute, very young institute, so they can move faster, but they're like, yeah, this has to come as a bullet point. When it is there, people will also want to fill it up. So yeah, your point taken. And so from campus as ecosystem, let me move to the next orbit of cities as ecosystem. Cities have problems, they have needs, but what they also have is a long history of labor put in by its citizens, which then is available in form of knowledge systems, in form of attitude and culture. In fact, the principal scientific advisor, Government of India, recognized this and has set up as an experiment city knowledge and innovation clusters with an attempt to because the problems today are all hard problems. One institute possibly cannot solve it, so you need different professions to come together. So that serves as the hub of where the cities, institutes would come together and try and solve problems and leverage the knowledge systems of the city, preserve it, and all of that. So there are also, indeed, there are ranking systems which rank cities as entrepreneurship ecosystem, and in the top 50 in our country, globally, we have 3 from India. Mumbai has moved 5 notches up last year to be number 31, but is still behind Bangalore at 20 and Gurgaon at 24. Now, Professor Khakkar was commenting a little while back about that map that Professor Vaishnav put up. That there are huge imbalances. If you put it at the district level, you will be able to see it even more starkly. So you would have experienced the cities as enabler or as something which drags you a bit, and you would have thought of different cities. So would like to hear from you as to what makes a particular city tick for ventures like yours, for all of you. And while you are at it, maybe a few pointers for what would make Amchi Mumbai move even faster up.
Yeah, so, one thing I've realized is that wherever you do your graduation from, that place is kind of hard to leave, particularly if you are in a residential campus. It becomes an ecosystem in itself, and for us what happened was that we had built an ecosystem of vendors who could do a lot of prototyping work for us. And it took me personally canvassing the entire city, almost 3 years of doing that while doing my prototyping, almost 4 years actually. So I realized that it's going to be harder to go and start up faster anywhere else. And therefore, that knowledge base of that vendor ecosystem is what kept me in Mumbai. Even if somebody were to give a suggestion that some other city will be better or worse, it was just that inertia that ye aur kahan milega? And then, you don't want to solve that problem in a new place and then start afresh. So that was something that worked for me for Mumbai. And then, of course, I think, you start, you do find it difficult in the city. And then you look at, for example, we moved to Navi Mumbai a few years later because it was lower cost. Obviously, city is very expensive. But at the same time, it wasn't as, it was low cost enough that it was equivalent to, let's say, a Bangalore or some other city in terms of cost of both living for people who will work with us and for being there as a institution, as an entity. So I think some of those decisions are important. If Navi Mumbai was not there, maybe the problem would have been a little bit harder, but then usually every city has some outskirts here and there, right? So I think that was something that worked for us for Mumbai. I think in general, I would say that Mumbai is less flashy, less marketing oriented as a city, while it should be. And therefore, we end up not talking about the benefits of being in a city like Mumbai. I think more than anything else, I feel that is the that is the gap, because Mumbai has several advantages, and specific pockets have advantages far more superior to anybody else because of the airport being right in the center of the city, and overall connectivity logistics being pretty exciting. And you get the best of all startups and volume to kickstart here. So I mean, life is not that bad in general. So I think we should talk more about it. Yeah. Of course, IIT Bombay. No debate about that.
When I think about this, I think, from an entrepreneur's perspective, they need three things. They need talent, they need capital, they need their customers, right? So I think you already covered whether it's vendors or customers, like your stakeholders, right? So that kind of, sticks you there. What I have seen, when people have moved from, say, Mumbai to some other place, or a Pune to some other place, like a Bangalore or some other place, it's largely, because, quote unquote talent, right? When they are really scaling up. So I think, somewhere like, when we talk about universities and the role to create entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurial mindset, but I think someone asked the question that entrepreneurial, people who may not be the founders of the company, but are willing to join the startup, right? So we need lot more talent building ecosystem, in our cities, right? When I looked at your chart, I was almost wondering, Rajasthan, for example, is a very entrepreneurial state, but it is very light in all of your graphs, right? It's probably because all those people have migrated to study, in Maharashtra, Karnataka, maybe the Delhi and all of that, and, kind of sticking there, right? And, building their enterprises there. But I think, you're talking about the problem of real estate in Mumbai. Bangalore is going to really, one day, blast, right? So, at some point, we'll have to find another ecosystem. And for sustainability, why should we have only these hubs? So we should really kind of create more hubs, where there is, inherent entrepreneurial talent. So I'm surprised, I was pleasantly surprised to hear, Kota is very well known in the IIT ecosystem, but, today Kota is also known for, creating some entrepreneurial ecosystem for that matter, right? So I think we have to really go think differently, right? While we're talking about Amchi Mumbai and IIT Bombay with a lot of pride, I think we have to think about, different pockets, Kota, Indore, and, enabling the entrepreneurial ecosystem there. And I think as VCs, we should also not be lazy and just sticking to like, Bangalore and the Delhi and the Mumbai ecosystem and go out and, create, go out and do our bit in terms of helping that entrepreneurial ecosystem. My hope is that, in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll have, at least 12, 13 of these entrepreneurial cities ecosystem and not just the top, 4 or 5 today, but we have.
Huh? Yeah, I am on. No, I think we all love Mumbai. So Mumbai, I think, has all the right reasons to be number one in startup ecosystem. However, if I let's say look at city, role of city in startup life, I'll probably put it into 2 buckets. One is that 0 to 1 phase, where Ankit said that where you graduated from, most likely you will going to start there. So it is a 0 to 1 stage, right? So if you have entrepreneurs from IIT Bombay, most likely they will start in IIT Bombay or in Bombay. The problem is once they become bigger in size, they migrate to a different city, right? So we need to figure out that why it happens and how do we stop it. So for example, Ola Bombay shifted to Bangalore, and there are many more examples, right? In fact, Atomberg also we started in Bombay. As we scaled, some of our operation, including R&D, plant, etc., naturally moved to Pune because of space, talent, density, etc. So we need to figure out if we really want to solve saying that how do we make Bombay as a startup hub. We need to figure out that how do we stop this migration and what is causing it? Is it talent? Is it ecosystem? Is it what? So I think that is, I don't have an answer at this point in time, but maybe we can do some more deep work and find those answers and figure out how to stop that. But if I do another very macro level comparison between Bombay, Bangalore, Gurgaon, or let's say NCR zone, I see another difference is that Bombay has everything that Bangalore has. Maybe the quantity is different, etc. So be it talent, be it VC ecosystem, be it banks, be it overall lab, etc., or auto manufacturing setup, and whatever it is. But what is missing is the clustered approach. So when I go to Bangalore, I find a lot of startups in HSR area, be it VC, startup, founders, everything. And you need to understand that when someone leave a company and want to join a startup, for example, let's say I want to start a new company, I need 10 people, right? Now if I need 10 people, I need to hire from someone, from some other company. If I want to hire from some other company, and if I ask that, someone from Andheri to join me in Navi Mumbai, then it is not only he has to change and make a decision saying that I need to change my job because of some salaries and whatever it is, but also I need to change my way of living. I need to change my ecosystem of my own personal, friends, schools, of my children, whatever it is, right? But in HSR Bangalore, that thing is unchanged. So you reduce a lot of resistance, right? So I think if Bombay as a city has to do well in the startup ecosystem, we need to figure out how do we develop this cluster, and that cluster has to develop. Otherwise, if the talent density is not, if the density is not there in terms of ecosystem, it is dispersed, then it's very difficult to build that ecosystem. So yeah, I think 2 things. So one, how do we stop companies moving out after their startup and become a meaningful size? And B, how do we create that cluster approach to ensure that the ecosystem is much more evolving in the right way?
We are short on time, so we will just take a few questions. So yes, Aryan, go ahead, please.
and population of our country.
You meant this question for me, for Ankit, for whom?
All of you.
Okay. Shall I go for it? It's a tough question. No, I think first of all we're debating that how do we make Bombay #1. So once we have answer for that, I think then we can figure out that how do we make maybe a tier 2, tier 3 city #1. Look, I think the answer lies in the same way, right? If you think about startup, right? Essentially, it's what? And then again, there is no traditional business. There's business is a business. We are solving some problem, right? The question is, when you think about a startup or a digital startup, whatever it is, in the definition, it has 4 things. One, of course, is you need a problem to solve. That problem can be for that particular geography. It can be for the nation. It can be for the globe, right? Second is talent density, because you need people to work to solve that problem, right? And the third is your resource ecosystem, which is banks, venture capital, etc., etc. Now, when I do a very simple comparison of tier 2 and tier 1, I don't think problem. I mean, you can solve a global problem by sitting in, let's say, any tier 3 city, or you can solve a problem for India by sitting in, let's say, a city like Guwahati, right? But what you cannot do is that you cannot have a lot of talent if you need talent, right? So you need to solve for talent if you really want that tier 2, tier 3 ecosystem to grow. Venture capital, finance, those things will also fall in place if you have solved the number 1 and number 2 problem. Because, I mean, she can vouch for it, but if the business is good, they will come anywhere in the world and invest money in you. So I think you should not worry about capital part, but you should definitely worry about how do you get the talent, which I think is a difficult problem to solve. First, let's solve for the tier 1 cities, and then you can go and solve for the other cities also.
Yeah, so in regard to this, I want to extend a question. If it is niche and geographic specific, okay, suppose we see an industry like Tata Motors, okay. Due to Tata Motors existed there are many small startups of design who is making axials, tires and all those things, okay. It is a tier 2 city. Demand has been created and it has been what you said, the chain has been suited. Similarly, for pharma or life sciences, people look for the places where there is a huge like pharma industries or the drug industries. So this kind of establishment does matter, correct?
I think to answer your question, yes.
So if you come to Mumbai, which is a mixture of all, and you are telling that from Navi Mumbai then to Pune, so how this factor creates like you are not getting those persons for talent? There are talents, they are shifting, they are existing co-parallelly existing. So how you are defining this problem?
No, I think you are comparing two very different industries. When you say, let's say, absolutely right. I mean, if you want to have, let's say, if you want to become a supplier for or OEM or a supplier for a manufacturing giant, right? So there's an opportunity for you to create a manufacturing setup in any part of the organization, right? But there you do not need a IIT Bombay graduate in 100 quantities to do your manufacturing job, right? And that is what we meant by talent gap. You need 500, 1,000, 2,000 blue-collar worker who can do the manufacturing, maybe some 10, 20 engineers who can design those lines. And that talent is unavailable, right? So you need to define that what problem you are solving, and for that, what talent you need. So that is where the answer lies, rather than saying that, generalizing the things. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, we'll have just last word from Namita.
Yeah, see, I think, at least in my limited understanding, see, the talent comes, it's a kind of a flywheel, right? Like a talent comes when the industries are there, and industries are also incentivized by government. Today, can we incentivize the large startups to kind of set shops, right? And I would argue they should, right? Because even if they are solving for India, they're solving for tier 2, tier 3. Why are they only in Bangalore, right? Be closer to your customers, right? So how do we incentivize more the corporates and the startups and the MNCs to set shops in in across the country, and so in Mumbai and Navi Mumbai. And then I think the university ecosystem, right? I think my appeal to the university ecosystem, and I've spent 15 years in education sector, so I have to do this, is to say that, how do we also become faster in terms of training people and become more and more aligned to the industry needs, right? So how do we quickly change our curriculum? How do we quickly, train people, so that they are ready? When we talk about the talent, it's not that there are no colleges or universities in the cities we're talking about, right? It's just that when startups need someone, they wanted someone to be ready yesterday, right? So how do we make them really ready for startups, right? And I think that's where universities can also play a very big role, besides building the skills and the mindset of the entrepreneurs, right? So I think, I think we should take on both the problems. I just want to say one more thing. I think I think there was a session on leadership, right? And I think it was a fantastic session. The one thing, my appeal, because we are in the universities and the colleges, we are shaping the minds of people, right? We also should learn from, what has gone wrong in the startup ecosystem, right? We all know, we all hear about it, right? And media talks about everything, but I think we also celebrate a lot of, maybe fake metrics, right? So I think my appeal to the university ecosystem when we're training people for entrepreneurship and really shaping those minds is to, really, also teach them that, okay, take bold bets, but don't think shortcuts work, right? Teach resilience, right? Really kind of, I think we should have a course on ethics, right? So, because, unfortunately, we'll take 2 steps forward and 4 steps backward otherwise, right, as a nation, right? So, I think if there is one course or, in terms of entrepreneurial ecosystem we want to develop, I think governance, ethics is something that should be integral, part of the entrepreneurship education, because I think the next generation has to do things differently. Otherwise, we will not make a difference.
Right. Thanks, Namita, for threading through national ecosystem, city ecosystem, and campus ecosystem with this thread of ethical thought and action. So on that count, we come to close of this panel discussion. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. I would like to ask the panelists to stay back. Professor Sankar, could you please present them with the microphone? We would now like to welcome Professor Ravi Gudi, who is the Dean, Alumni and Corporate Relations at IIT Bombay. Prior to this position, he was also the professor in charge of IIT Bombay Research Spark Foundation and has served as the head of Department of Chemical Engineering. Professor Gudi.
Good evening. Such a pleasure to welcome all of you as we celebrate the 10th year of the Dsse City School of Entrepreneurship. I think what started the very small fledgling is now a very popular destination for a lot of students, especially the minors program, a very well sought after minors program, as well as the Master of Engineering program. And where it has developed today, I think we need to just reflect back and see how the journey has been and what has caused it to be so stellar over the last 10 years. And there are, of course, several people that we would certainly like to acknowledge. The first, of course, is a very generous donation by our distinguished alumnus, Sri Bharat Desai, that led us on this path. But then, strategizing 10 years ago and setting up several visionary leaders actually came up to form the advisory committee. And I would certainly like to acknowledge one of them here, not all of them. And that is, of course, Sri Jagdish Sheth, Professor Jagdish Sheth of the Geseta Business School, Emory University at Atlanta. He joined us as one of the advisory board members. Just a very brief about him. He's a Padma Bhushan recipient for literature and education and is globally known for his scholarly contributions to the field of consumer behavior, relationship marketing, competitive strategy, and geopolitical analysis. He has authored and co-authored more than 350 papers and has written numerous books. And in that sense, very accomplished entrepreneurial entrepreneur himself and teaching in the area of entrepreneurship. He was one of the visionary leaders and a part of the strategy team a decade ago, which actually, his visionary leadership actually contributed to the stellar growth of the Dsse City School of Entrepreneurship. Today, as we reflect back on the 10 years of journey, it's really my pleasure to present a small video, a talk on entrepreneurship by Professor Jagdish Sheth, who will also be making an announcement, which I'm sure all of you, especially the students, will be delighted to hear. So let's play the short video by Professor Jagdish Sheth, please.
Greetings. Thank you for inviting me to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the entrepreneurship program at IIT Bombay. From a humble beginning of less than 30 students per year, today it has more than 1,000 students enrolled, and from an entrepreneurship program, it has become a full-fledged school of entrepreneurship. I want to thank Dsse, who asked me to get involved 10 years ago, become the academic advisor in terms of curriculum design and implementation. Under the able leadership of Professor Anand Kusre, the program really took a great shape. I had met several entrepreneurs in the early days when I used to visit India more often, and there is nothing like it. As you know, Adam Smith, the father of modern economics, added the fourth factor of production called entrepreneurship. Land, labor, and capital, which were the old thinking, and he added, and his belief system was very true, that entrepreneurship at individual levels creates the wealth of nation. To me, entrepreneurship is the real competitive advantage. Entrepreneurship is more universal than any other force. It does not recognize gender. Women are as or even more entrepreneurs than men. Does not recognize faith. Every faith has entrepreneurs. Does not recognize age. Young people can be entrepreneurs, so can be the older people. Does not recognize literacy. Some of the best entrepreneurs have been illiterate people, but so are the scientists. That's a very interesting characteristic of entrepreneurship. As a factor of production, it is universally available or approachable. Entrepreneurship also is more than capitalism, because you can have social entrepreneurship, non-profit, you can have an academic entrepreneurship, you can have any entrepreneurship in any domain or field. I'm so pleased to also announce that my wife and I have contributed endowment to name after Professor Anand Kusre and his extraordinary leadership in making this program implemented successfully, to have two scholarships. One for the best student in the entrepreneurship school, and one a team or an individual which has come out the best idea for commercial opportunities. Again, I'm sorry I cannot be there in person, but my congratulations and my best wishes for a great success of this program. Thank you.
Indeed, a big thank you to Professor Sheth for lending his valuable time and for his very generous contribution toward the establishment of 2 student awards each year for entrepreneurship which he aptly named in recognition and acknowledgement of a very distinguished personality, Anand Kusre, um, named it as an Anand Kusre Award. We are fortunate to have Professor Anand Kusre here in the audience. May I request him to kindly rise so that all can honor and applaud his exemplary accomplishments that have inspired the institution of this award. The details of the award will be published by the head DSSE and will be available from this semester itself. I urge all the student community here, of course, all of you are very talented and will do very well in your courses, but I'm sure this will inspire you, the two awards, the Best Student Award and the Best Idea. I think this will surely inspire you to work towards this very prestigious Anand Kusre Award. So, sure that this award will prove to be of immense value to all of you, and really thank Professor Jagdish Sheth for instituting this award in honor of Professor Anand Kusre. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Gudi and Professor Jagdish Sheth, for the student awards. I'm sure I will put a fight for it in the upcoming semester, and I hope that the spirit stays. I would like to invite Professor Sankar back for the Smart India Hackathon Awards.
Smart India Hackathon, sponsored by the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell in collaboration with AICTE, is an annual technology innovation oriented competition for Indian students. By challenging students to sink their technological teeth into real-time problem statements relevant to the country's progress, sourced from central and state ministries, as also public and private sector partner organizations, this competition is arguably the largest open innovation model globally. In its sixth edition in 2023, 44 teams from IIT Bombay submitted their solutions to a diverse set of problem statements. 3 of these teams were shortlisted for the grand finale held in different parts of the country, an in-person hackathon. And 1 team won national first prize for its solution to a Ministry of Defense problem. We would like to felicitate the 3 teams and the student body which coordinated the effort. May I request Professor Krishna Kalyappan, Dean Strategy, his and his office's facilitation was essential for us to get the program going on campus. He never tired from guiding us and encouraging us. Professor Kalyappan on the stage, please. Next slide, please. The first team, Geek Chains, worked on online blockchain-based certificate generation and validation system for the government of Gujarat. The team of second-year students, led by Utkarsh Maurya of Electrical Engineering, comprised Shivani Mishra and Chinmay Tirupur of Electrical Engineering, Aryan Kumar of Metallurgy, Bhakti Joshi, and Shashant Jindal of Mechanical Engineering. Congratulations, Team Geek Chain.
Students on the 2 sides. Let me flip.
Yeah. The second team, Medimate, developed a patient care system for the government of Kerala, led by Satvik Prakash Shetty of Electrical. This team of second year students comprised Parinay Devangan, Arin Welling, Khushi Bandile of Electrical, and Udayan Gupta, Parijat Mudras of Mechanical Engineering. Congratulations, team Medimate. Finally, Team Avlokan, comprising students across second, third, and fourth year BTech, was led by Ameya Markarkande of Aerospace Engineering and comprised Yashodan Tingne, Anupsa Swain, Abhishek PM of Aerospace Engineering, along with Kanak Dudi and Arkadeep Shah of Electrical Engineering. Team Avlokan won the national round for the Ministry of Defense problem statement titled Drone-Based Intelligent Magnetic Sensing System and Metallic Anomaly Detection System. Avlokan is developing a reliable, robust, modular, and cost-effective solution for long-range maritime reconnaissance by aerial magnetometry to bolster national security. May I call on stage the members? Yes. Abhishek? Yashodan? Anupsa Swain? Kanak Dudi? Deepa, we can just run this video while I'm just... it will also be timely to recognize the efforts of the Institute Technical Council, particularly the student leads, Devans Vijayvargya, raise a hand please, and Mithal Parida, who actively coordinated and popularized the Smart India Hackathon on ITB campus. ITC seniors Pratmesh and Akshat helped all along. Learning from experience of the teams which traveled to the grand finale, we are confident of acing SIH 2024. Thank you.
I'm really sorry. I know I stand between you and dinner, but when you realize what I'm here to do, I know that all of you will support me in what I'm seeking of you for the next 15 minutes. I'm Anu Narasimhan. I'm Professor of Practice and head the Dsse School of Entrepreneurship. It is my absolute honor to stand here and be the person representing DSSE at our 10th anniversary. Like Professor Subhashish Chaudhary said, he couldn't believe that 10 years had passed. I've been here 3+2 years, and I can't believe 10 have passed, but it has. And we're going to acknowledge and felicitate the people who have made this possible. First, I need my team to move these tables away so that we don't have people hurting themselves. You can just push them on the back or on the side. As felicitation, we have wondered what we can give to people who have given so much to us. And it was not an easy answer at all. The first one was easy. It's a IIT Bombay tradition. We give everybody who we want to felicitate an Uttariya. So an Uttariya is a mark of respect, and that is something we will give to everyone that we are felicitating. But the other two things that we have put together are perhaps things that you will appreciate. One is a coffee table book, which chronicles our 10-year journey, and with pictures from 2014 till as recently as 7 days back. So that's the, go back. I'm operating. The book on the left is our Dsse Sethi 10-year book. And the thing on the right, I'm going to request my teammate Nitesh to come and please showcase here. Nitesh, can you please bring? So while he brings this, let me tell you what these symbolize. The 10-year booklet symbolizes what people have contributed. And this is a 3D model of the new Dsse Sethi building, which is coming up about a year or a year and 3 months from now, the summer of 2025. I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Rupesh from METIC and his team who helped put together the 3D model that we are giving to those who we have felicitated. Thank you. So allow me some space so I don't run through this part. Yeah. So I'm going to start with the first set of felicitation, which is Professor Devang Thakkar. So you had saw the vision. Can I have Dr. Chintan Vaishnav and Professor Ravi Gudi on stage, please, to felicitate. So Professor Devang Thakkar was the director then, and I'm told that between the thought of a center for entrepreneurship and the decision was like the shortest thing that IIT Bombay has ever seen. So thank you very much for that, Dr. Vaishnav. You've been a visiting faculty, so you know how to do this. Yeah, so you're supposed to open it and, like the chameleon shawl. Absolutely. Showcase for Professor Gudi today. We are going to create a system for this. Thank you. In the same picture that you see on the screen, we have Professor Devang Thakkar. Ravi Sinha was our Dean ACR. I think that's Professor Yajnik, who was our Dean R&D at the time. Oh, Dean Student, sorry. And you can see Bharat Desai and Anand Khusre. The second is for our benefactor, which is Bharat. And this is a case where the intent and the benefaction came together so closely. So the intent behind entrepreneurship and writing a check or the benefaction towards entrepreneurship were again extremely instantaneous. I know Bharat is online. Can we go on to Zoom to see if he can, I don't know how to do a digital Uttariya, but with Bharat's permission, I'm going to request Narya. Is Narya here? Narya's here? Two of his classmates, Kirat Patel and Narya were here. I can't see either of them now. Bharat, thank you for joining us live. Raj, no, we have something for Raj. So we call Raj. We have something for Raj. Bharat, would you like to say a few words? We are saying thank you to you for the 10 years that you have given us. And patient capital is a word that I heard from Namita. And if I can vouch for the fact that this has been outstandingly patient capital.
No, that's very kind, Anu. This has been a terrific journey. And what I'd urge everyone to do is think big about the future, because I think we can accomplish a lot more for India with the position IIT Bombay enjoys and the really terrific ecosystem we've created.
Thank you.
So let's focus on that. And thank you for everybody, putting their heart and soul into making this successful. We wanted very much to create this institute, and it's come to reality, so we couldn't be more thrilled. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharat. Our next set of felicitations are for our founding faculty. So if there was intent and if there was benefaction, it had to see execution. And towards that end, I'm going to have to. So these are the three faculty that we would like to call up. Yeah. Professor Anand Khusre is our founding professor in charge. Professor Khusre, can you please come up? Yeah. And Raj Jaswa, Professor Raj Jaswa, he's a serial entrepreneur, an IDB alum. Even today takes classes for us, wakes up at 5 in the morning, and is taking classes online at 5:30 from California time. Raj, yeah. We get all three. Wait. I also would like to invite Professor Milind Dsse, who was part of this troika, he was, like someone mentioned earlier, he was the head of science, he was head of R&D, and this troika put together the programs that have made us what we are. So thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you. I would really like people to share their thoughts, and I have a plan for it. We're going to ask you to speak over dinner. A similar such dais has been created over dinner. So everybody who we are felicitating will talk about their journeys when we meet over dinner. That's a POC lab. Yeah, there's some bamboo workshop in the POC lab. That's a bamboo workshop. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah? The next felicitation is for our advisory board. We had an illustrious advisory board when we started the Center for Entrepreneurship. You can see Professor Abhay Karandikar, Professor Shashikant Suryanarayanan, Professor Jagdish Seth, who we just heard. I actually would like to really, from the bottom of my heart, thank Professor AQ Contractor for being with us here today. And he was on our advisory board and remembers the programs from back then. Professor Contractor, can we have you on the stage, please? Our next set is our first set of project managers. And everybody here knows Shakti Tripathi. If there is one person who represents the Dsse City School of Entrepreneurship, it's Shakti. Shakti is still with us working on projects and doing a PhD in parallel. Aparna Rao, Dr. Aparna Rao. Most students here would know Aparna Rao. She has helped with, they have helped every student in their course and over mentoring. You know, we only lose people when they go on to do bigger jobs. So Dr. Aparna is a faculty member now at NMIMS at Narsimhanji. And the third person I'd like to call is Love Sareen, who's may not be the same cohort, which is a word I learned from Love. He's not the same cohort, but while Shakti and Aparna helped start the courses, Dr. Love Sareen helped us put the venture creation program called Ideas in place. Again, Love left us to become a faculty member at Flame University. So we don't let people go unless they go to much bigger things. So good to see you, Love. This is a picture in our POC lab, which happens to have all three of them in the same frame. So our team has gone to some effort to find the right pictures to make them. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Our next set of donors. The Dsse is very fortunate that we find donors who are not just, like I said, write checks and financially support, but bring their heart, mind, soul, and their expertise. And here I'd like to thank the class of 1990, IIT Bombay's class of 1990, and their legacy project. They set up the venture creation program, which we call Ideas. Dr. Ajay Sethi, Sandeep, and Hitesh, if you can join us on stage, please. Yeah, very much so. So Ajay Sethi is with Axel Venture Capital. Sandeep is the country manager for Sun Life Insurance. And Hitesh is a die-hard entrepreneur working in the chemical industry, the old-fashioned no venture capital way. So these are the people who helped fund. There are actually a larger number of class of 1990. We really thank you for your support. And Professor Kakkar, that's the signing of the MOU picture on the left-hand side. And Professor Kusre, you might remember this was one of the ideas cohorts that, yeah, so thank you. So I tell everybody who asks me how did I get this job at IIT, and my answer is go fund something at IIT, do some work there, and you'll find a job at IIT. So those of you who are asking this question. Our first set of adjunct and associate faculty. Professor Kusre went about looking for faculty to teach our courses. Professor Kumaresan from IDC was a very natural choice. I hope he's here. The other two that other three that I'd like to call out is, of course, Professor Devdeep, who has, we got lucky with him. He teaches go-to-market and literally helps student teams go to market. Also, Professor Hirvani, who is the country's leading expert on intellectual property. We are so fortunate to have you, Dr. Hirvani. And Professor Vinay Dabulkar lives in Bangalore, so he's not here. So Devdeep, Professor Hirvani, if you can join us on stage, please. Our early entrepreneurs, and I know they were here a while back. I'm just going to try and see if they are here. We have, somebody asked the question, we have taught 3,500 students. We've had 700 students mentored by faculty and our alumni mentors. We have about 100 alumni mentors who do this pro bono for the love of entrepreneurship, or some like me who do it because we miss the entrepreneurship buzz. We have 220 ideas teams that have gone through our funnel, and we now have 80 startups that are registered. So that's our stats if you want to. Is our NeoDocs here? NeoDocs, anybody here? NeoDocs is a great example. Anurag Meena is in Dubai, but I thought his co-founders were here. They started as DSSC, as students at Dsse School of Entrepreneurship. Then they were incubatees at Sign, and today they are at Research Park. So Rajesh, this is the ideal funnel that we should get as many people to follow as possible. Rajul, I wanted to call out. She's a PhD student who has an agri-tech startup called Proximal Soil Sense. And I wanted to call out Aman Goyal, but I don't think he's here. He had a startup which he exited last year and has done well. I think we will just... Ovis is here? Ovis come. Ovis come. Yeah, his company is here. Ovis, please come. Yeah. Ovis Chunawala, also one of our early entrepreneurs. Glad you reminded me. Please come. Blue logo. His company is called Ogle.ai, and I don't have the eyesight to get this right, but somewhere there, his logo is very much there. Ogle.ai? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Ravi, please come. Oh, I'm sorry. Ravi Kaushik is our first batch of ideas cohort. I'm so sorry. Sorry, one more. One more. Please come. Ravi Kaushik, solving clean air problems in Delhi and South India, and wants to go national, both B2B companies and at retail. So, companies called Air. Ravi, thank you for being here. Then we have a new improved batch of adjunct faculty. So the new, the next one, Deepa? No. Deepa, sorry, my bad. Just go back. Just go back to this one, yeah. The first change of guard, which was in 2019, when Professor B. Ravi became the professor in charge for the Dsse Center for Entrepreneurship, and Professor Ravi Sinha handed over to Professor Suhas Joshi. This is a visit that Bharat Desai came for. Unfortunately, again, like I said, they have gone on to bigger roles. Suhas is the director of IIT Indore, and Ravi is the director of NIT Surathkal. So I will accept on their behalf in that sense. Yeah. Yeah. The next award is for our constant partners. Our constant partners have been Sign. This picture is of the Sign and the Dsse teams. I think it's 2019. Santosh, Poini, Shaji, can you please come up and still have many things we can do better together. Oh, hi. I can see you. Thank you. open bottle. We were not standing looking in camera. Thank you. Over the years, Dsse City School of Entrepreneurship has had an illustrious policy committee. We refer to them as the SGPC, which is the School's Postgraduate Committee. The members come from different departments. They guide us on our program, and they guide us on our linkages with the academic units, and most importantly, how to handle main building. So that's the role that PGC has played in our lives. I am going to request Professor Pramod Wangekar and Professor Chakku from the old and the new to please join us and accept our felicitation, please. Professor Chakravarti is from IDC, the School of Design, and Professor Wangekar is from Chemical Engineering. Can you, yeah. I know, but you had to. You have participated. Professor Amit Sethi, is he here? Professor, oh, Parag, sorry, Parag Bhargav, please. I did see you. Professor Parag Bhargav from the Metallurgy, MEMS Metallurgy Department, Material Sciences. Thank you, Rupesh, for pointing. No, we need one for Parag, so we wait, and then thank you. And one for Professor Fu, who got his hand outstretched. Thank you. And one for Professor Parag. Thank you so much. Now I go to you. Get it close up so you can take a picture. Thank you. Next is our mentors. Like I mentioned, we have over 100 mentors. They are not all alum. In fact, the two people who I'd like to call today are not alum. Captain Siba Patnaik. Captain Siba Patnaik spends every Saturday 3 hours with our teams, and he knows what our teams are doing. Please come, Captain Siba. Is Anuj Sharma here? Please come. Anuj Sharma and Captain Siba are our mentors. Thank you so much for investing the time that you do with our ideas teams. The picture on the screen is COVID days. That's Mentors Day, where I don't know, we had 70 people on one screen. Love, I don't know how you managed to take this screenshot, but obviously there was some. Anuj is an investor in Paris. Our maiden sponsored research project. And we are extremely grateful to RGSTC, the Rajiv Gandhi Science and Technology Commission of the Government of Maharashtra. They give us a project to do about commercialization of accelerating technology commercialization. And we trained 35 of their principal investigators who are academics and researchers. Dr. Narendra Shah, Dr. Arun Sapre, thank you for joining us. Can I invite you on the dais, please? While they come, on the dais is Padma Vibhushan Dr. Anil Kakurkar, who was the BOG chairman when the Dsse City Center for Entrepreneurship MOU was signed. We celebrate 31st Jan every year as our school day because that's the day the BOG order was actually released. So, Dr. Anil Kakurkar, in a sense, is also our founding father. few more, not more than 4 or 5, please bear with me. Our project team members, and these are the ones who provide the wind beneath our wings. And as you can see from this chart, we are truly about women power. Can I have Rachna, Shweta, Deepa and Alka on stage, please? Is Rachna here? Ah, good, thank you. We are giving them the things that they have put together. Thank you. We have two student bodies. They are our partners, like Sign is downstream of us, upstream of us are two student bodies, the Entrepreneurship Cell and ITC, the Institute Technical Council that Dr. Chindan referred to. He went and met them. Can I have the representatives of ECEL and ITC here? We actually, the picture on the left is from the Open Air Theatre. It's part of the 10-minute million, which is like Shark Tank. And I tell you, I don't have the organizational abilities or the marketing abilities that these boys have or these boys and girls have. Prathamesh is not here. Prathamesh, you are coming from ITC? Ah, please come. And ITC has tech teams and tech clubs, and one inspires people to become entrepreneurs, the other provides the means to do it. Vishal, please come. Thank you. Our special set of faculty members, the DSSE is extremely fortunate that we have this special set of faculty members. Each of them is extremely unique. They give us their name, they believe in us, they give us their time, their expertise, their energy, and their goodwill. We have 4 such professors, honorary professors of practice that are associated with us. Anand Deshpande, the co-founder of Persistent Systems. Under his tutelage, I'm learning how to go outreach beyond the students who are on campus. There are entrepreneurs far and wide in the nation. Anand is a co-founder of Persistent Systems. I'm going to call a couple of people along with you. Please come. Ramesh Mangaleshwaran. Ramesh is the partner emeritus with McKinsey. He's done a lot of pro bono work for IIT. Ramesh was here a minute back. Oh, he just left? Oh, I'm sorry. Ramesh is a partner emeritus with McKinsey, spent 30 years with them. But what I need to tell you is he enjoys teaching first year students profit and loss account, balance sheet, and cash flows. I don't know how many students here take Professor Ramesh's classes, but I know his teaching scores and they are fantastic. So he loves doing that and he loves doing strategy. I should mention Rizwan Koita, who's the person taking class on the left-hand side of the picture. Rizwan is one of the earliest unicorns, Citius Tech, a healthcare digital health startup. And he's hard at work putting together a new course for students called Sales for Entrepreneurs. He says, that is what I can teach. All I've learned in my entrepreneurial journey is how to sell. So he's going to take a full 6 credit or a 3 credit course on sales. So that's Rizwan. Rajesh Gopinathan is a new kid on the block. Rajesh, can we have you? He's our most recent luminary. After having a successful corporate career, he's now trying to figure out which course that he wants to teach with us. Can I have the some of this, Anand, Rajesh, Ramesh, and Rizwan, is also in anticipation of how you will drive us over the next 5 to 10 years. So some of it is for contributions and some of it is what you will do for us as we go forward. And as they say, the last but never the least, I actually am delighted to have this Dsse School of Entrepreneurship's first set of core faculty, research faculty, regular faculty. Devdeep and I are thoda paraya faculty. We are professors of practice. But I'm really delighted to have Professor Sankalp and Professor Leena. Professor Sankalp joined us 7 months back. Professor Leena 7 days back. So, so, so we've taken you on a full tenure journey that we have had. Professor Sankalp's area is entrepreneurial ecosystem. Professor Leena's area is social entrepreneurship, social innovation, social enterprise, inclusive business. So that's what she does. This one's definitely looking forward to you all creating our future for us. So welcome, no pressure, no pressure. Welcome on board. Chitan, and thank you, Professor Guri. This is all the people who have made the Dsse School of Entrepreneurship what it is. Devdeep is photobombing.
I don't know whether this is part of the script or not, but I think one person who really missed out is Anu. Okay? And I can tell Devang and Anand and everybody else that it's in good hands. DSSC is in good hands. Raj, I think you'll all agree. I don't know whether you have kept an Uttariya for yourself, but please.
Thank you.
And come. And I think it just shows her humility that she's not planned one for herself, and we need to call it out.
This was most important.
Good job, Anu. And you'll be one busy lady, I can tell you that. Me too?
Uh, um, of course, sir, please, of course. No, 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 no. It's your day.
Sorry for butting in. I thought I'll just take 1 minute. I think I just want to say a big, massive thank you. I just recall, I think our very first meeting with Professor Khakkar and Bharat Desai at Land's End in Bandra. And I don't know, 10 years have passed now. And I just want to share with you that I feel I am blessed that I got this opportunity of starting something which I never thought would reach this stage, and 10 years will pass. So hats off, I think, to all the supporters, especially Bharat Desai and Professor Khakkar, and then followed by all the deans. I think I pestered them like mad, and they must have got tired of me. But thanks to them, we got all these courses, all these new faculty positions, all these programs, and I think it is, and ultimately, of course, the students, from day one, I think the students we got, and Raj, Salil, Milind, I think it has been a fantastic journey, and I'm sure it is only, as Professor Ashwin said, it's only 1/10. I'm sure we have only finished 1/10 part by 10 years. There are further 90 years and 100 years to go. Thanks, Anu. I think thank you so much.
We would like to do a group picture after I've done my vote of thanks. I have figured that the best way to do it is to ask people from the Sanjay. They all move to the middle section. So first I'll do my thanks. This event wouldn't have been possible without these teams, the VMCC admin staff, the CDEEP team who puts together the video recording which has been streaming on YouTube, and I do know many people who are watching it and have watched 3 hours of it now. The PRO's office, the PHO, the Public Health Office, the Security Office, the Dean, ACR, and the DRF team. I must call out the DRF team. They are the wind beneath the wings of all of us academic units. They find us the right partners, they support us in our activities, and stay silently in the background. Thank you, Team DRF. I know you're somewhere here. I'm never sure whether the Dsse team should be thanked or not, but I'd like to acknowledge the work put in by Alka, Shweta, Deepa, Shakti, Ravi, and Nitesh. Thank you. A special shout out to Dr. Abhay Karandikar, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, our director, the deans, Professor Phatak, who has sat through and listened to all of these felicitations, Professor Contractor, Professor Kanan Maudgalya was here, Ashank Desai, Mohan Kavri, many alum who have come. They are all well-wishers of the Desai City School of Entrepreneurship, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank everybody in this room who have who are well-wishers, our stakeholders. Keep supporting us, keep showing us the mirror. We have a goal that Dr. Chintan set for us, not for the next 10 years, but for the next 1 and 3 and 5 and then 10. Thankfully, we have Ramesh Vangaleshwaran from McKinsey in our team, so we get our goals. Like tomorrow, we'll get our chart assigned to us. Yeah? So thank you, everyone, for being with us. I'd like 3 pictures. The first is where the group, everybody here comes in. Sanjay, the photographer, comes on stage. So can I request people from the right and left sections to fit in, blend in the center section. We will then have a picture. While you do this, I'd like to also invite all of you. No, Milind, you have to be. Just standing or sitting? Sitting. Okay, the instructions are being given by me. Guru, Sanayak, you can't leave. Nobody is leaving now. You are all part of this picture for sure. Huh? Oh, yeah, please do live feed. No, let them see. I don't want live feed to go off. I want people to see. Raj and Kalpana, can you come to the first row, please? Please come. Parag, यहाँ पे आइए next to Professor Phatak. I don't want, where is Shibam? Shibam is here. Parag here. Hey, there are some 4 seats in the. One set can actually stand on one aisle, like this aisle. Only one line. Oh, these students doing back row, I always call it fun. If you come to my classes, back row is very dangerous. You will get asked questions, quiz will be given to you first. Please come front. Please line up like this. Yeah? Rupesh, you should please come and sit here with us. Arista and maybe you can come a DSSC team row. Where are my... No. Rajiv and Davini, you must please keep sitting. Ankit, please come here. Ankit, छुपो मत. Ankit, please ये कैप्टन पटनायक के बगल में. There's space here. So, Davini, Rajiv, please बैठे. Ankit, you sit. I'm going. I'm going to sit next to Captain Patnaik. एक seat है वहाँ पे. Okay, we are good. While you are all captive audience, there is dinner at Gulmohar Lawns. It's great weather, so I invite you all to join us for dinner at Gulmohar Lawns. The people we felicitated, I'd like a picture on the stage, please. So please wear your uttariya and come on stage. So that's the other picture I want. I'm sorry, but I'm a maniac for photographs. So. The Uttariya folks on stage, please, with your Uttariyas. Anuj, come. I can spot all of you. Hitesh, Ajay, Sandeep, Poini, Rachna. Next, एक ये हमारा पास का पिक्चर. Poini, come. Sanjay, थोड़ा बोलो कैसे ऑर्गेनाइज करें. Okay, there will be 4 chairs. कितने लोग दिख रहे हैं आप बताओ ना. Yeah, only then always be put it anywhere. Bhakat, you should come in the front. Thank you for staying so long. I'm so happy. Longer you have been. Not older. No, पीछे you come in front. Alka come. Hey, we don't do. Some girls go there.
Of course. I'm so happy that you are the first